One second. Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, June 20th, 2023, at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Postoli.
Here.
Councilmember Lester. Here. Councilmember McGinnis.
Present.
Vice President Treston.
Here.
President Bendo.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of Acting City Manager Ronald Walsh and Corporation Counsel Dennis Cohen. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
Councilman Lester, would you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second meeting of June and the last meeting for spring of 23. Hope everyone's having a good spring so far. Since we got a lot of people in the room, if any of you are new and wish to speak later on at Good and Welfare, you do need to sign up for that on the side of the room over there. There's sign-up sheets that you just drop in the box. So with that, we're going to move on to the agenda. We're going to be going a little bit out of order on the first few items.
Okay, calling out of order, we're going to call item number 9 first, resolution adopting a definition of anti-Semitism.
So a couple of, I guess about a month or so ago, I was invited down to Temple Emmanuel. Actually, myself and the council were invited to come to go to Temple Emmanuel, and they had, at the time, the American Jewish Committee was giving a presentation on anti-Semitism and other things. And during the lecture, I was asked to say a few words, and I did. And it came to our attention that the American Jewish Committee, in coordination with the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, has been on a I would say crusade, if you will, against anti-Semitism. And about 70 different municipalities across the United States, but in Nassau County, or I should really say in New York State, you have Southampton, Rockville Center, Yorktown, Greensburg, Huntington, Great Neck, Suffolk County, Nassau County, North Hempstead, Oyster Bay, Glen Cove, and Lindenhurst have all adopted a working definition for anti-Semitism. And Long Beach has a sizable Jewish community, and part of one of my focuses when I came here was to try and make sure that the Jewish community had a voice here and felt not only that they were respected, but that when incidents of anti-Semitism took place, that we fully investigated. We've had a couple since I've been here. Just today, in the 5 towns, there was a swastika painted in a Jewish community. And anti-Semitism and hatred of all kinds, unfortunately, is a real thing. And this particular agenda item is here to adopt the IHRA's working definition for educational purposes of anti-Semitism.
All right. In this day and age, it's a little unfathomable to me that we have to vote on something like this. That in this day and age, anti-Semitism is still something we're wrestling with. I mean, it says something about us as a society that it's still an issue. And part of the reason is, in 1933, there were about 9.5 million Jews in Europe. That was 60% of the Jewish population of the world in Europe. And that's the same year Hitler came to power. By 1945, 2 out of every 3 of those people had been murdered. That's what anti-Semitism is. And just to give you, I looked something up, just to give you some what I thought was interesting, these are some countries and the percentage of the Jewish population that was killed in those countries during the Holocaust. Czechoslovakia, 73% of the Jewish population killed. Slovakia, 83%. Germany, 69%. Greece, 91%. Lithuania, 85%. Netherlands, 73%. Poland, 90%. At the beginning of the war, there were 3.35 million Jews in Poland. At the end of the war, 3 million of them had been killed. And in Yugoslavia, 82%. Anti-Semitism, it's not just a word. It's a terrible history of the human race. And we should all be stopping it. We should all be fighting it. I don't know why we have to sit here and vote on this, why this is still a thing. But it is, and it's shameful, and it's sad. And if you see it, you should be calling it out and stopping it and combating it. So, with that, I'll just say, any other council members have any comments?
I do. I mean, sure John, to your points, very well made. And I just want to say that together this evening, why I think it is important is we're all here to take this stand. And by adopting this definition, we are giving our support for our Jewish community here. And we are encouraging this dialogue and open collaboration with our community through this resolution and in addressing anti-Semitism and promoting tolerance throughout our community together. And that's why I do think tonight is an important way to do that with you all here.
Believe it or not, there are some people that think the Holocaust didn't happen, and some of those folks are younger now and even younger. And as people who went through that whole era, they still don't forget it. And that's why it's so important that we make this working definition. I recognize as a community that we are, and we always will be, inclusive, tolerant, and accepting of each other, no matter what we believe, who we pray to, or who we love. I attended the Temple Emmanuel Pride Shabbat last Friday night after a really tough week, and I can't tell you how welcome I felt. And that's how this community needs to stay, and that's why I'm so proud to vote yes for this resolution when the time comes.
I don't know if they're in the audience, but I just wanted to thank Mr. and Mrs. Vogel for inviting the council to the temple for that very moving speech. Thank you.
I'm going to add one more thing I meant to say. If you ever go on a vacation to Europe, go visit a concentration camp. A couple of years ago, I visited the Dachau concentration camp. And I walked through the gas chambers, and I walked past the ovens, and I saw the photographs of the horrific experiments they did on the prisoners. It's hard to believe one human could do such a thing to another. And again, that's what anti-Semitism is. It's not just a word, it's not just painting a swastika. It is a state of mind that results in things like what happened in the Holocaust. So with that, I'll open it to any comments from the public. Rabbi Jack.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank Ron and the council for continually supporting Temple Emmanuel and the broader Jewish community. The fact that you came to our program that we hosted with AJC says it all, because it led to this particular night. We're grateful for that relationship, and we're grateful for this council's response. I'm appreciative of everybody in this room tonight, because I think many are here in support of this very important vote. But I wanted to underscore one thing while I have the microphone very quickly. So much of it is focused on the Jewish community, but I wanted to remind all of us it's not a Jewish problem. It's not only a Jewish problem. It's a human problem. It's both at the same time. The most prominent quote when you enter the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., are words written by a German Lutheran pastor. And it really tells it all. He said, first they came for the socialists. I didn't speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the unionists. And I didn't speak out because I was not a unionist. Then they came for the Jews. And I didn't speak out because I am not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out. Indeed, Pastor Martin Nomueller was arrested for his views fighting Nazi Germany and ended up in a concentration camp for 8 years. It's more than just a Jewish problem, and I'm grateful again for the leadership of the city manager, acting city manager, and the council for all that you do for this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
As Rabbi Isaac Atiyah walks up to the podium, the council had received a letter overnight from the entirety, basically, of the leadership of the Jewish community. So the letter that the rabbi is going to read right now is from Rabbi Berlin from the Bach Jewish Center, Rabbi David Beebe of the Sephardic Congregation of Long Beach, Yehuda, it's a tough last name, Kamravator of the Sephardic Temple, Rabbi Benjamin Silver of Young Israel, Rabbi Eli Goodman of Chabad of the Beaches, Rabbi Eli Kreminsky of the Lido Beach Synagogue, Rabbi Elliot Fetterman of Temple Israel, and Rabbi Jack Zanohoff have all expressed their words that I believe you're going to read for us tonight, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
To the honorable members of the Long Beach City Council, we, the local rabbis of the Long Beach Jewish community, write this letter to express our unwavering support for the adoption of the AJC definition of anti-Semitism by the City Council. We commend the City Council's commitment to standing with the American Jewish Committee and the Jewish community worldwide in the ongoing fight against anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism remains a persistent and deeply concerning issue, not only locally, but also globally. It is imperative that communities unite to address this threat and promote a society built on respect, inclusivity, and understanding. By adopting the AJC definition of anti-Semitism, the Long Beach City Council sends a powerful message of solidarity, reaffirming its dedication to combating hate and discrimination. This definition serves as a valuable tool in identifying and addressing various manifestations of anti-Semitism, enabling law enforcement, community organizations, and institutions to effectively respond to incidents and foster a safe environment for all residents. As members of the Long Beach Jewish community, we are proud to stand alongside the AJC and the City Council in this crucial endeavor. We firmly believe that the adoption of this definition will not only protect Jewish individuals from hatred and bigotry, but will also contribute to the promotion of diversity, harmony, and mutual respect among all residents of our great city. We extend our deepest appreciation to City Manager Walsh for his efforts in advocating for this important cause. We regret our inability to attend the City Council meeting due to our personal commitments, but we hope that our collective voice can be heard through this letter. We trust that our community support will be acknowledged and conveyed to the esteemed members of the City Council. Once again, we express our utmost gratitude for the City Council's commitment to combating anti-Semitism and creating a more inclusive and tolerant Long Beach. Thank you.
Just so everybody knows, of course, we picked the night where one of the rabbis from the Sephardic temple, the lead rabbi from the Sephardic temple's daughter's getting married, so all the rabbis are at a wedding. But I know we have a lot of representation from our Jewish community here tonight. I appreciate the rabbis coming out in support.
Any other comments from the public?
Hi, I have nothing prepared. I just feel moved.
Can I get your name for the record first?
Nina Goldenberg.
Thank you.
I am a 2G. I get to be young in that role. That's about the only thing I still get to be young at. But anyway, I'm here because I am grateful to see this group adopt this definition under that flag, while I am on page 200 of a book titled The Abandonment of the Jewish People and What America Did Back Then. I am grateful for the change of this country, and as I've listened to an AJC podcast, as I am just diving myself into all of this because my father didn't really speak about it, but I'm here to speak what he could not, and I'm here to help change what he wished for. And so there was a woman, a prominent figure on this podcast that said, when you say anti-Semitism, you cannot say it without saying anti-racism. And when you say anti-racist, you cannot say that without saying anti-Semitism. It goes hand in hand. It's about peace, it's about unity, it's about love, it's about end of hatred for all. And that's what this adoption has done, following the call to action from the AJC. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hodge.
Greetings, James Hodge from Maple to Nevada, from the Bay to the ocean. I am always excited when we can do something and recognize how we can help different communities out. One who have worked with the Jewish community for many, many years, all the way down to Rabbi Herman. And as I thank God for any policies and procedures that could help. And also, you know, I always say to any elected officials or any municipality, it's always good to try to, you know, work on different policies all the time. That would help. As I was at the program not too long ago, and they were talking about names and not numbers. And I got a chance to meet two of the survivors, but hear the stories that the school children put together. And I asked the city if they could, you should have that here, names and not numbers. You should let the same group that of children and teachers and administrators that put that program together as it goes all around, you should let them come and do it in City Hall. I asked for that. And also, I would say, you know, let us continue to remember, as I always think about, as the former chairperson of the Martin Luther King Center, Rabbi Herschel. Rabbi Herschel, Abraham Joshua Herschel, he was a Jewish theologian, philosopher with a social conscience that led him to participate in the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King did so much with the Jewish community, and over the decades, the Martin Luther King Center has done so much, again, to fight on behalf of relationships and respect for all. And so I say to all of you, thank you, and I would say please pass this policy, because there's, when policies sometimes change, it helps, but make sure we don't just change a policy for the sake of changing a policy, but let's make sure that we really mean it ourselves. And I say that to say, let us adopt policies that we really mean and we really show, not just during election times, but I would say that this is very important that this city is taking this move right now to do it. And I, again, thank and applaud Rabbi Jack, Rabbi Goodman and all of the rabbis in the Jewish community for coming and putting this and having this on the table. Thank you, City.
Back there?
Thank you to the esteemed members of the City Council. I specifically do want to single out the acting city manager.
Can I just get your name for the record?
Alan Langer, sorry, and police commissioner, who's been such an incredible friend to the Jewish community. Whenever we've had a problem in the community, whether that be threat of violence, the day of hatred that came up, he's always been there to answer our call. The City Council has always been there to answer our call. So we as a community definitely want to thank all of you for all your great work on this. I work for an organization, just a quick point, that we actually have a partnership with the U.S. military where we take them for a 3-day tour to the Poland death camps, and then we take them for a 14-day tour to Israel. So last year, it happens to be, we took 50 cadets from the U.S. Military Academy, the Virginia Military Institute, and the U.S. Air Force Academy, and they were in Yad Vashem. For those of you who don't know what Yad Vashem is, it's the Holocaust Museum in Israel. And they got to meet a survivor. And the survivor said to them, this is an amazing occasion to get to meet you guys, because the last time I saw someone in an American uniform was the day I was liberated from the concentration camps. What you're doing is incredibly important. It's changing minds, it's changing opinions, and it's showing that the Jewish community has backing from elected officials, and it's showing that there is not an ability, and it is not acceptable for people to continue to hate the Jewish people. And the days of the Jewish people not having friends in the government, not having friends to look out for us is over. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call the vote on this now.
Okay, so item 9, oops, wrong page. Item 9 is a resolution adopting a definition of anti-Semitism. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will. Oh,
You got that?
I think Roy got it.
Okay. Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
This is a very important step in combating hate and discrimination in all forms. I vote yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay. Next item is also going to be called out of order, is a public hearing for resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for 64 West Park Avenue, street floor.
Okay, is the business owner here? Great. Can you come up? All right.
Hello, Council.
Hello. So could you tell us your name and a little bit about your business?
Hello, my name is James Palazzo. I'm a Long Beach resident my whole life, born and raised. My family owns a construction company in town, a masonry company. My stepfather was a lawyer across the street, Leslie Seamus. I don't know if any of you have known him. He passed away last year, and I'm looking to open up a small rental shop in town, surfboards, boogie boards, wetsuits, maybe some chairs and umbrellas.
Okay. Now you're going to be on the second floor,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay, so is it going to be like a, sort of like a store, a showroom, or is it more where you deliver to the beach type thing?
I'm going to have, when you walk in, if possible, a display, so you don't have to go upstairs if you don't want. And then upstairs have like a showroom
Okay.
of all different items that'll be for rent.
Okay. So it's actually like it'll be like a store then?
Yes.
Okay. How many employees do you anticipate having?
About 3 to 4, depending
Okay.
if business does better or worse.
All right. And what do you anticipate your hours to be?
I would like it to be from 8 a.m. to 5.
Okay.
Because
7 days or?
7 days for the summer season.
All right. Any questions from the council members?
Just out of curiosity, it's a rental business.
Roy,
Can you just pull that mic closer? Thanks.
Now it is.
There we go.
It's a rental business.
Yes,
correct?
sir.
So you have to collect them back? They have to bring them back to you? The chairs and umbrellas and stuff?
Yes, I was thinking if it does work, that maybe it could be a pickup drop-off thing, you know, maybe get a bicycle with a wagon on it. I have 2 young sons, 11 and 13, and maybe put them to work.
I didn't see an application for child labor here. No, I'm just kidding. Good luck with the sons.
Thank you, sir.
So, you know, I asked because when you say you're going to shut at 5, good luck with that.
Well, yeah, we'll stay open, waiting for the, you know, the end of the beach.
Yeah. Okay, I was just curious.
Okay, so I'll open the public hearing, and any questions or comments from the public on this? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and let's vote on this now.
Okay. So item 1 is a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 64 West Park Avenue, second floor. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes, and good luck.
Thank you.
President Bendo.
Good luck, and thank you for opening your business in Long Beach, yes.
Thank you.
Good luck
Thank
to
you
you.
all very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, our next public hearing is for a discussion of the adoption of a comprehensive plan and environmental assessment for the City of Long Beach pursuant to requirements of New York State General City Law and New York State Environmental Quality Review Act.
So I'll introduce this particular topic. It's about an 18-month process the city just underwent to get the draft comprehensive plan to the place where it is right now. The last time the city's comprehensive plan was actually formally updated was in 2007. Our current draft plan has been on the city's website for review for about a month. There's been 2 public hearings that we've, really public meetings, not hearings, that we've already had, both of which were last week. One was at the MLK Center, and the other one was right here in City Hall. An environmental assessment was also prepared. The draft plan itself was put together by our consultants, SLR. They're a national firm with many years of experience working in communities about the size of Long Beach. SLR themselves worked with a consulting firm called Street Sense, which is very well known in the space of economic development and expertise. Besides the city staff, the city had a very, very, very dedicated 11-member planning advisory board that led the process. That group itself had over 25 meetings before tonight, and several of the planning advisory board members are actually in the audience tonight. If you're a member of the planning advisory board, would you please stand up for a moment and just be recognized for your hard work? I also want to thank our staff who kept the project moving. Projects of this nature are very difficult to actually bring to any sort of sense of fruition. And Ms. Patty Bourne and John McNally really worked many, many, many hours to move this. Patty and John were assisted also by our Deputy City Manager, Sidney Rogers, and our Assistant Planner, Jordan Schreiber. What you might not know is that state law actually requires that the Nassau County Planning Commission review the draft plan and provide us with feedback. And their letter, a part of their letter, I'm not going to read the whole thing, says that the commission wanted to wish and express its appreciation and support of the city's efforts to prepare a plan that was more pragmatic in its approach and implementable than the draft 2018 comprehensive plan, and one that engages the public early in the process in creating a vision and in setting goals for the city of Long Beach. Newsday covered the plan in a very complimentary article that's available outside the room as you leave here tonight. And if you'd like to gain more information or key points on the plan, feel free to actually take copies of that. And before we open the hearing, Patty Bourne, I believe you have a few words that you'd like to state, and also a PowerPoint for the public edification.
Thank you very much. There we go. Can you hear me? Great. Well, it's wonderful to be here to talk about the plan. And the plan is available, as the information on your way out says, as Ron said, on the city's website, because we want people to have the chance to review it. It's also available at the Main and West End libraries and at the city clerk's office to review. So if we could, I should stand back so I can see. Dave, can you pull up? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
It's already there.
My first time working with the city. So I won't read every page because one, we want to move forward. Two, it's right here for you. And three, we want you to have a time to think about it after the meeting as well. But what I want to say, it's a framework, it provides guidance, predictability for the city as we move forward. And one thing to emphasize is that this comprehensive plan was designed to be and is a general plan. A lot of people have mentioned specifics, and we appreciate that, and we can see moving forward getting into more specific recommendations on different items, and that is recommended in the plan. But we can't possibly in this plan go into detail into everything. The next slide. So these are the areas that we covered: demographic, land use and zoning, housing, the commercial districts, economic development, transportation, circulation, community facilities, infrastructure, parks, recreation, open space, cultural and historic resources, sustainability, and resiliency. Dave, the next one, thank you. So the process. So I'm sure everyone can see from the back the whole process, but what I will explain, I don't know which way I should probably stand here. What I'll explain is, from a planning perspective, there really are three elements. The first element, which we did, was to research the information, go back on prior plans, but most importantly, talk to folks in the community. We did extensive outreach, and we had over 1,200 people take our survey. We interviewed about 40 leaders from diverse parts of the community, and we had meetings back last year about this time, all over the community. Because community outreach is the most important thing I think a planner thinks that we're going to do in a plan, because of the fact that it's your plan, it's not someone else's plan, and we need to make sure that people have had input into it. The next phase is that we developed the draft plan, which is available, as we've said, and we appreciate all the feedback that we've gotten so far, and look for more information tonight, and of course, if the and after tonight, if the comment period is left open. Now, the components on the next screen, thank you, are we'll have an executive summary, which traditionally is done at the end. We did a history of Long Beach, including the centennial celebration, existing conditions, review of what's out there to make Long Beach unique and to really focus the plan on our city. The neighborhood focus is extremely important because, as we know, in Long Beach, we have many diverse neighborhoods, and the plan needs to reflect the needs, requirements, desires of each neighborhood to fulfill them and sustain the community character of those neighborhoods. And then we look towards the future and consider some implementation and action matrix. In other words, what do we do with this plan? We're not doing a plan just to have a nice piece of paper sitting on a shelf. That's not the purpose of planning. In fact, that's the opposite of what we want to do. We want to have something that becomes an active roadmap for the future so we can get on to other things that we need to do to support the city in its endeavors and priorities. So themes, goals, strategies, and actions. So the themes were, and I will mention these, livable neighborhoods and sustained quality of life. I think we all can agree those are important. Thriving places and robust year-round economy to support our community, to provide jobs and expand economic development. Access to mobility and connectivity, that means how can we better get people around, whether they're in a bus, taking the train, a bicycle, walking, driving their car. How do we move people and the vans and trucks around most efficiently to be safe and provide a healthy community. Enhanced environment and climate resilience. I think anyone who's been here and heard about it, if you weren't here during Superstorm Sandy, certainly acknowledges and knows how important and the lessons learned from that experience that we take moving forward. Sustainable growth and opportunities. The next page. Well, one of the themes that came out last week, because we did ask for feedback at the meetings, was the importance of moving forward with zoning. And that was probably one of the most important priorities. So we'll be talking about zoning in the future. And why is zoning important? Because it is the specifics that maintain our neighborhoods the way we want them, and to tweak it so that it keeps us going in the direction we want for the future, especially after things like Sandy, which changed the nature of the community with so many folks raising their homes. So as you can see, and I'm not going to go through it, and this information is out on the table to take with you, but those are the important characteristics of what makes Long Beach your home and everyone's place to shop and enjoy the community. The next page, we're looking at thriving places and robust year-round economy. And one of the things highlighted, again, coming out of last week's meeting, was bayfront development. We're not talking in the plan about specific bayfront development, but acknowledging the fact that there is an opportunity to develop properties that are vacant, some are city-owned, at the bayfront for the future. Another popular idea that came out was the need, which is in the plan, for housing. How do we keep local folks living here as prices go up due to a lot of different factors? And keep the next generation here and your neighbors and friends in the community. So that's important. On to the next page. Mobility and connectivity. There's a picture, right, of the train station right next door. And this whole area on Park Avenue is something that's been a major focus of the city to make it enhanced for moving people around, as well as creating an economic development, a real downtown, a better, efficient, more downtown. So the train station is there because as we develop the plan, we can go back and share what you've all told us, the recommendations that have come out of the plan with the MTA Long Island Railroad as they develop and redevelop the train station, which is in their capital plan. So we have more expertise and more input into what the railroad does because we have the information from all of you about where we should be going. And it also helps us with grants. We've gotten a number, and Joe Fabrizio is here. We've talked many times and heard him talk about the improvements for example, Park Avenue, for Edwards Boulevard and National that have been completed, and Park Avenue's in the midst. Well, those projects all came through grants. And the more information and the more priorities we have that we can share with funding sources, federal, state, private, helps us get more grants. And that's very important because it takes some of the burden of expenses to make improvements off of the taxpayers. So we're going to be applying for more grants this year. That's kind of the punchline. The next page, climate resilience and the environment. Well, the pictures show, pictures worth 1,000 words, and the pictures show what we've gone through in the community and how do we protect us going forward to make the community better. One of the things, because it mentions extreme weather, are heat islands, and we've talked about how to mitigate heat islands because as climate change makes it even warmer in the summer. The next page, this is really a critical page, sustainable growth and opportunities. A sustainable community will be able to meet current needs and ensure adequate resources are available for future generations. So this plan is not just for today or 5 years from now, it's for 5, 10, 20 years from now to talk about where we want to go. And I love to give the example when I spoke to high school students and they said, yes, many of them said they'd like to stay and live in Long Beach when they get out of school. But their concerns, and I thought how bright they were they needed good jobs and they needed decent housing, where maybe they didn't want to live with their families. You know, they'd like to be a little more independent. Well, how do we make that work for people of all diverse backgrounds and incomes and abilities? That's one of the challenges that we're facing. And we want to protect the neighborhoods, diversify the housing stock, create mixed-use zones, and as I said before, the bayfront. That really is the key to the presentation. Thank you.
All right, before we open the hearing and move on to public comments, first I'm going to call up Damian Sciano, who's the chairman of our Planning Advisory Board.
Thank you very much. Good evening, council members, colleagues, neighbors. I'd like to present and read into the record of the City Council Draft Comprehensive Plan, the PAB support, the Planning Advisory support for the Draft Comprehensive Plan. So if it's okay, I'll just formally read it. I'm writing to express the Long Beach Planning Advisory Board's support for the City of Long Beach's Draft Comprehensive Plan 2023. For over 2 years, the members of PAB have met with the city staff and the SLR consultants to provide direction, ideas, and comments on the process and draft plan. The PAB has also attended many public engagements to gather input from the residents and business owners, as well as spread the information to family, neighbors, and friends. We really tried our best to get the word out as much as we can. And thank you for all the support from Patty and John and the city manager and the city council for doing that. We feel the document reflects the vision, overall goals, and action steps for the city in the next decade very well, and you got some of the highlights right there. Livable neighborhoods, promoting economic development, access to mobility, climate resilience, and sustainable growth are the basis of the draft plan and are very important for the city's future. Therefore, on behalf of the Planning Advisory Board, I commend the city for its leadership in developing the Draft Comprehensive Plan 2023 and look forward to its adoption by the City Council. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate. All right, I guess that's a little formal. So I'll just add, I also had the honor of being on the 2007 team that did the plan. The great thing about Long Beach is, everybody loves like the beach, and everybody can kind of coalesce around how lucky we are to be in this community. So there was a lot of similarities, but I think the consultants still did a great job of really painting a broad landscape. And obviously, if you think about it, the amount of things that have changed, aside from just 15 years of time passing, I think we've already forgotten the 2008 Great Recession, but that certainly gives us a lot of focus. Irene, and then Sandy, and of course COVID. So it's been my honor to work with the advisory board members on this. Thank you for listening, and I hope you guys go forward with the planning. Thanks.
Thanks, Damian. So, since we have a crowd tonight, for those of you that maybe aren't so familiar with the comprehensive plan and its purpose and why the city's been doing this, maybe you haven't heard much up to this point, think of the comprehensive plan as a high-level plan or framework for what we want the future of the city to be. And I'll give you an example. Our city's zoning, building code zoning, hasn't been updated in decades and needs to be. But how do you go and update your zoning codes if you don't know what you want your city to be? So that's what a comprehensive plan is. It's creating a general framework for a future vision of the city, so then you can go out and get grants and put things in the budget to implement those visions. So it's sort of like a long-range plan for the city. But it's intended to be flexible, so you can change as conditions change and things like that. So that's what this is about, just in case you, like I said, haven't been paying close attention. So with that, I will open the public hearing and take comments from the public on the comprehensive plan. And we have right here.
Good evening. My name is Michael Negri. I am a member of the Planning Advisory Board, and I think I met most of you the last few nights for the first time last week as we were meeting with the public to discuss this plan that we finally came up with. So I wanted to come up here and take a moment to go on record and tell you a little bit about what the Planning Advisory Board is and what this plan represents and what it doesn't represent. So the Planning Advisory Board is made up of 11 volunteers who do not get paid. Back in October of 2020, the former city manager rebooted the effort to fill commissions and boards. There was a public notice made, and me and my fellow board members, we responded to that notice, and we picked what board we were interested in being on, and we applied in writing we were interviewed, and we were picked. So 11 of us represent areas from all around the city. It's a fairly diverse picture of, we present a diverse picture of the city at large. And we're volunteering our time to come together to try to create a plan for the city of Long Beach to adopt so that there is some guidance for the future. So we've done that. We met about 25 times, like you said. We got to a point where you all, the city council, I should say, approved some money to have SLT come in. And they actually wrote the plan based on a lot of our ideas and, of course, enhanced it with their immense knowledge of how to write a city plan. So that's what happened there. So for the record, I'd like to state that this plan is not a political plan. It is not the Republicans' plan. It is not the Democrats' plan. It is a plan created by the citizens of Long Beach, for the citizens of Long Beach, and it represents the best version of government for the people, by the people. And we've worked hard to make it not filled with any kind of special interests. It is simply the best version of what we think the city should adopt moving into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any more comments? Gentleman in the back.
Good evening. My name is Charles Gary. I'm a homeowner, City of Long Beach, and I just wanted to give some comments on the draft comprehensive plan. Given my my position during my day job, I'm not in a position to participate in any planning boards or serve in any sort of government functions working for the state. But in any event, I did want to give you some of my, I think, items that deserve some emphasis within the plan. I think it would also be great if the comment period were to be left open for written submissions, so it could be more comprehensive. But again, I defer. I think the housing issue in Long Beach, you know, we have more diverse housing stock here than probably anywhere else on Long Island. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but let's, you know, we have a great situation relative to some of these other communities in the area that are really suffering from lack of multiple dwelling units and apartment-style housing. So, you know, we really do, the spectrum here is probably greater than anywhere else. Certainly where I grew up. I'm here because my wife grew up here, not because I'm a native. But in any event, the other thing I wanted to mention was the bike lane issue. I think it's great that on the north-south boulevards that were redeveloped, that they did include some bike lanes. But obviously the elephant in the room is the east-west bike lane, particularly perhaps on Park Avenue, Broadway, both. I think that is something that is very important. It goes to multiple, more than one of the headlines that the planning director mentioned with respect to economic development, mobility, and the like. So I think that, you know, that's something that should be a key emphasis. And also going along with bike lanes would be traffic calming measures. Clearly, you know, they sort of go hand in hand, and you know, Park Avenue, as an example, you know, is not a street that should be, you know, people should be driving 45 or 50 miles an hour on. And so, you know, there's numerous examples. I'm sure the consultants have that in their repertoire in the report, if we were to get into more specifics on that topic. But looking at New York City, for example, there's so many new, innovative ways to, you know, have pedestrian and bicycle safety in the sort of the forefront on street redesigns, if you were to look at some of the avenues and streets in the boroughs that have been recently redone with bike lanes, both separated and otherwise. And then the other thing I wanted to mention to you was the train station, because that was another slide. You know, the transit-oriented development topic is sort of something that I think meets all of the, is that my time? Yeah.
That's your time.
All right, then I'll yield. Thank you.
If you could get with Patty because I saw her taking notes as you were
Yeah, yeah,
talking, and give her, make sure she has all your suggestions.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, any more? Ms. Lake? Oh, Ms. Lake is coming up. Just based on the comments, we just heard a couple interesting data points. As part of the comprehensive plan, a traffic survey was done on Park Avenue. And we found out that on average about 30,000 cars a day go down Park Avenue. That technically makes Park Avenue a freeway, not an avenue. So that was an eye-opener. And the other comment about the housing is Nassau County, on average, has about 16% of the housing stock in Nassau County is rentals, which is obviously where most young people start, is in rentals. In Long Beach, we're 42%. We have far more than the rest of Nassau County here. So we do have a diverse housing stock here. Affordability's a different issue about it, but we do have a diverse housing stock.
President Bendo, I just have a question. Is that all right?
Oh, who are you asking?
You.
Oh,
if I may have ask a question.
Sure.
Okay. I just want to clarify to make sure that I'm correct. I think, Patty, you might be able to help me with this. Is the idea of a comprehensive plan to guide future zoning in the case of Long Beach to prevent future overdevelopment? Is that a fair statement? So yes, the way to prevent future overdevelopment is in fact to adopt a comprehensive plan that takes into account specific zoning and areas and initiatives such as traffic calming. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Lake.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Crystal Lake, Long Beach, New York. I have many questions, but I would just like to ask a few at the current time. Regarding the potential Bayfront Gateway location, since Sherman Brown Park is a row, we all know it's a right-of-way. So that could be a potential location for the gateway. I'm just asking because I think it would be fair to the residents to know that that is a possibility. I would also like to know if the owners of Pinetown houses, did they notify the city of Long Beach when there was remediation work, a 3-year-long remediation work? The magnitude of that spill in the future, something of that nature, the city should, in my opinion, the city should be notified. It took 3 years to remediate. It was dry well remediation, underground storage tank removal, and groundwater contamination. The next thing, in the environmental assessment form, I did not notice the 2 former incinerator sites, and I was wondering why. The second incinerator site was located at 5979-505. The first incinerator site was 59103, lots 11 through 22. Currently, that same location resides behind Center Millwork, 59-104-83. So I believe those areas should be included within the environmental assessment form. The other question that I have is regarding Long Beach manufactured gas plant, former manufactured gas plant holder, 59102-1. There was remedial work done. However, Tetra Tech prepared the report. I believe that since that property consisted of 3 acres, only 2 of the parcels were assessed. So I think that should be taken into consideration due to the dynamics of the entire site. It is a major hub. And I also believe that possibly the city may be looking at brownfield, the BOAs. So if those questions could be answered now, I'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. I didn't write them down, so I don't know. Patty, did you take those questions as?
Thank you so much.
Hi. There are different types of environmental assessment. For the comprehensive plan, the environmental assessment looked at the impacts of the recommendations in the plan. Since the plan did not have specifics such as density or number of units, didn't look at zoning issues, if you look at the environmental assessment, and I can give you a copy, I have some tonight, really says it's not a direct impact. That is our recommendations from our consultants, because they're looking at the big picture. Now, when you get into the specifics and your tremendous knowledge of specific sites and the environmental impact, that would be addressed through studies that were done, for example, if a zoning change was being made and looking at density or the impact of a particular piece of property, or certainly development. So if those sites were being developed, then the environmental impact of that development would need to be addressed and taken into consideration, and if the construction would have to be modified to make sure that it addresses those issues. Right now, the comprehensive plan, and we're happy to have this in our notes, and you've shared them with us before, but that is not the focus of the comprehensive plan, the specifics.
But one of those sites.
You want to talk into the microphone so everybody can hear you.
One of the sites that is listed in the report is the gas holder site, 130122. The remediation or the assessment, it's listed as C as in Charlie, 130122. It does mention the Superfund site nuclear cleaners, so that's what I'm saying. So how come the incinerator sites were not also listed there? And my other question was, did Pinetown, the owners of Pinetown houses, notify the city in regards to the spill that took 3 years to remediate?
Right. So let me clarify. So you're saying some of the environmental sites that you just mentioned are in the draft comprehensive plan, but others are not, and you want them all included?
I think as moving forward.
Sure. And now I understand the point. Yes, of course. We will include those. Thank you.
The BOAs, regarding the BOAs.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward.
Okay, Crystal, your time has expired, so if you and Patty
we'll
maybe could talk off on the side here.
I do understand, and I do appreciate the additional time, but something of this magnitude, sometimes it just requires a
Right,
couple
that's what I'm
of
saying. So
minutes.
make sure Patty gets.
You have all my emails.
Oh, we do.
We have.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. One more idea?
Hi, my name is Megan O'Donnell from 65 Georgia Avenue. I really just have one question and one comment. The question is, when is this resolution going to be voted on? I wasn't able to find that information. And then my second is really just a comment. I have a lot of time. I take the train into the city. I'm on Facebook a lot. I am on the city's website. My kids are in JLs. I haven't really seen a lot of information about this. There is some information. I had to search for it because I knew that this plan was in action because I've been to previous neighborhood meetings when they had them at West School, at the library, stuff like that. But it's difficult for, I don't see a lot of information out there about it unless you're searching for it. So I just ask that we try to do a better job of reaching out, whether it's robocalls, whether it's putting up signs at the ticket taker booths, you know, on the streets of every block, different ways to just get the word out there, because I know not everyone's on Facebook, but some of these meetings, I haven't necessarily seen posts that we've been, you know, having the meetings. I know there was a meeting on the 15th that unfortunately I found out about it too late. And like I said, I am on Facebook and the city webpage a fair amount because I have 2 kids and I'm looking at things. So I just think my one suggestion is to try and reach out a little bit more to the community so that we can get more feedback. That's it. Thank you very much.
And just so you know, the public comments will be open until the end of the month.
Okay. When's the
So-
resolution going to be voted on?
Probably in July sometime.
Second meeting in July, probably. Okay, so not the 5th? No. Okay. If you want to call me.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any more? Mr. Camden, and then.
That way I can see both people and talk to. I'm Steve Camden, 10 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York. I also served on the Planning Advisory Board for the 18 months of this time, and about 4 people on the Planning Advisory Board were on the 2007 with me also. So it's been a long process of being involved as a citizen like you guys that come to all the meetings are. So it's very important that as residents we feel heard, which is vital in this process. Okay, so what's next is important is this comprehensive plan, as everyone said already, was very broad to get the data into the information for what all these decisions need to know. So it was very comprehensive to get all the data, but the decisions are next in the action plan. So everyone needs to really stay involved in the next part that's vital for everything to happen. Okay, so like you saw these 11 people step up from our town to do this 18-month project, like I'll give you a couple examples of the vital parts to get involved in. You know, the updating the zoning is going to be next, and you really want to be in tension because that's huge to what we got to do. And you want your say to go there because of the 11 of us, we didn't agree. Some people wanted big buildings, some people wanted no buildings. I mean, so it's a big difference, so therefore it's going to be projected so everyone can have a view and then decide as a community, and there's going to be compromises. You know, other things come up like protecting the bayfront public access. That whole development on the bay of developing it, we want to make sure there's public access. Some people suggested a wonderful idea. We have a boardwalk on the south, let's have a boardwalk on the North Shore. So it'd be wonderful to make sure we did a public access, so even if they built buildings, it doesn't take away the bay from us. So that's, again, your activity will help protect that if that's going to happen. Okay? Downtown vitalization. You know, that's West End, that's East End, that's Central. That's not just one area. So again, your input's vital to make sure your area gets protected. The gateway coming into town is part of the business district. We want to make sure that's protected. And again, unless you stay involved, those could be pushed aside by accident. So it's vital you stay involved. Okay? Bike paths, transportation, and the calming traffic, huge. I mean, that's major stuff that's in here, but it's not decided for us. It's in here with data for us to then decide what we want to do. And if you don't get involved, you have to say, oh, okay, somebody else was smarter than me, and I let them do it. I don't think that's the answer most Long Beachers I know want to say. I think they want to be involved. Okay, so thank you for everyone coming to this. I appreciate that a lot. I do recommend adopting this comprehensive plan as it is so we can get to the action parts next. Okay? Thank you.
Back there?
Lady.
Hello, how are you? I just want to first start with a joke. Now I know why nobody comes here, because you're sweating us out with health issues and not having the AC. But I guess you've been doing that to your records department for 16 years as they sweat there and work for your police department.
Can I get your name for the
Anyway,
record, please?
My name is Kathleen Sullivan, 107 Coolidge.
Thank you.
Been living in Long Beach for over 20 years, Point Lookout, born and raised. I would like to start off by saying it's very hypocritical for you to do a comprehensive plan when you do not take into consideration your future thoughts that you say that you don't know much about, right? So all this sounds all fine and good, but as a program manager and a project manager on Wall Street, you're project planning without potential blockers, right? So you're sitting here, and our infrastructure is pretty weak, right? Look at the sinkhole, right? And also, they're going to be building 3 feet underneath to go from, or you want to build up the bay, but we're going to be looking at POPs right over there, 6-story substation. Isn't that beautiful? So, yeah, let's build up the bay, but you're going to be looking at a substation that's 6 stories high. You're also potentially going to be digging underneath our land, right? And we want a voice. I find it very hypocritical to have an environmental plan when you don't take into the considerations of all the future effects of these turbines. I also find it very superficial assessment that you don't forecast potential issues going forward. It sounds all fine and dandy about your zoning issues, but when you have zoning issues and sinkholes happening, you talk about, oh, people want big things, little things. Right now, our Barry Island that I've lived for 53 years, that my grandfather built, he was a construction worker, this is all crumbling, and I'm watching it. I never came here, but I am passionate about this, that I want to halt, I want to research, I want to know what these cables underneath this ground is going to do with the Lloyd's Aquifer. The only aquifer left in Long Island. When you destroy our water, you destroy our property values. I have a 16-year-old kid. I also have a husband that works downstairs. And I want answers. I want this halted. Okay? I think that you have enough research to open up your mouths. We've all been calling, everybody here has been calling the assemblyman and everyone. We know it's a federal issue. We know that's been shoved down our throats. But I'm asking you, someone, speak up and say, we need more research. You can bury your head in the sand and saying, oh, I'm doing a comprehensive plan. Your comprehensive plan, excuse my language, is crap. Because you can't do a comprehensive plan unless you forecast the future. And your future is what you're destroying our future with, because you're keeping your head in the sand and not doing enough research. That was all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hodge.
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street. You may see a big sign on your way to McDonald's or to the bridge. I want to say, a little piggybacking on what Crystal was saying, is that she just made a point and we said we'll add it in. We had 25 meetings, but supposedly we forgot about that critical information that she was talking about. We said we had many emails, but I don't know if you're passing the information to the Planning Advisory Board. I don't even know if all of them know exactly what Crystal was speaking about. So as we have this plan, and the other speaker did say, we have to make sure that we plan the future also with everyone's concerns and input put into the plan. I would say, as Crystal constantly emails about the different brownfield and the EJ community, different things that I know that the city is going to go after grants for it. And I pray that those grant funds go to where they're supposed to, because I know sometimes this city has gotten grants and funds have went other places that may fit it, may not fit it, but, you know, because you guys even said that. And that's why you're doing, recalled some of the whole community development to shift it different ways because you said it was done wrong. So it has happened in the past, and so you're saying you're fixing it. So I would just say, again, this plan, I think, needs a lot more work. You didn't meet in certain parts of the community in the city of Long Beach. You did meet at the MLK after the plan was done and after the community was begging over and over to be a part of the plan. I believe if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I believe that everyone is here because they want to be at the table with their ideas and they want you to hear them. So whatever it is, again, I would say don't rush just to vote on it because we've been waiting so long. If we have to wait longer, let's just make sure we have, and the Planning Advisory Board have the solid information that Crystal Lake has been sending for years. And if you have it, that's good. Let's make sure the people that's putting this plan together and the company that you guys hired, I really think you should have just hired Crystal Lake. You know, she knows Section 59, Lot 242, and I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but she do. So I really think that when you have experts in the city, and we keep hiring experts all around the country, you have a lot of experts right here in the city. Crystal is one of them, and we have some here. Listen to the voices of the city.
Thanks, Steve. All right, right here.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm not sure if this is the right place for this, but my name's Tracy Fenton. My family and I moved into the West End late in 2020, and shortly thereafter we received that letter from Donna Gaydon that shocked the pants off of me, if you recall that letter where she very clearly and transparently explained the financial situation that the city of Long Beach was in, not only as a result of the Haberman settlement, but of years of mismanagement. So that has been keeping me up at night. And today I went on the website and read the introduction to the proposed budget. And I want to say that I think it's nothing short of a miracle what Donna and this council and the leadership have done to turn the city's financial situation around and reduce its debt and set it on a course for sustainability. With that said, the wind project has only recently come on my radar. I've spent a good deal of time sort of researching wind projects, all of the proclaimed and known risks from the hazards of the electric.
So
yes.
Just before you go on, are you going to tie this into the comprehensive plan? Because if you want to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure because she was talking mainly about that, so that's why I said I wasn't sure if this was the time or the place. I'm happy to come back later on.
It would be better to probably save that for the good and welfare portion.
Okay,
if you
will
could.
do.
Well, all right, thank you. All right, any more comments? You have to sign up. Tell her to sign up. Okay, and just in case anybody came in late, if you do want to speak at Good and Welfare, make sure you sign up. You sign up on the side of the room there. There's a sign-up sheet, and you drop it in the box, the form. Any more comments then?
On the comprehensive plan.
On
this agenda item. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, seeing none, we're going to leave the public comments open until, like I said, the end of the month. So this isn't the end of it, and you can still submit comments. There is an email address. Let me give it to you. It is economicdevelopment@longbeachny.gov. Again, economicdevelopment@longbeachny.gov. So, again, continue to submit your comments and on the plan. So with that, we'll move on to the agenda.
Okay, on to the regular calendar. Item 1 has been voted on already. Item 2 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the Capital Projects Fund budget.
So this item, I'm going to turn over to Joe Fabrizio to talk about the DASNY grant.
Good evening, Joe Fabrizio, Commissioner of Public Works. This is an amendment increasing the capital budget line for playgrounds by $264,423.81. The city received a grant for $1 million from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, which is referred to as DASNY, to rehabilitate Magnolia Park and Leroy Conyers playgrounds. The city borrowed $1 million as working capital for this project. The intent was to utilize the working capital to facilitate the Magnolia Park and Leroy Conyers project and ultimately replenish this capital budget line for playgrounds for use on the Pacific Boulevard Playground and Sherman Park Playground. The first reimbursement in the amount of $645,406.25 has been received, and that was transferred back into the capital line at the May 2nd, 2023 capital budget meeting. Now, this $264,000 is the second reimbursement. And again, this money is being put back into the capital line so we can use it for rehabilitation of two other playgrounds, which is going to be Pacific Boulevard Playground and Sherman Brown Park. Do you have any questions?
Yes, Joe, I just want to confirm, please,
Sure.
was this the $1 million that former State Senator Todd Kaminsky secured for us?
That, I know it's from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, but I'm not, honestly, I don't know if Senator
I'm pretty sure it
Kaminsky was the one who secured it.
Yes. Okay.
But it's a great program because they remit payment very, very quickly. The park has been complete only for a couple of weeks, and we've already gotten back $800 and almost $860,000. So it's a great program.
So it's not taxpayer funded? Yeah, it was a grant.
Yeah, I mean, that playground, just so you know, was $1,150,000, Magnolia Park, and so we're getting $1 million back, so it's really only costing the city taxpayer $150,000 for the beautiful playground that we have at Magnolia. And we did get approval. The next playground that's up is, again, Pacific Boulevard Playground. We're going to be doing a major rehabilitation at that playground. We actually received a $670,000 grant from the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, of which we have to match with $330,000. We're going out to bid for that probably next week. It's probably going to take about 6 months or so. So hopefully by the end of the year or early next year, that park will is going to you'll be impressed. It's getting a really nice piece of equipment, whole new decking area, new shade shelter. It's going to be very nice. Do you have any questions?
All right, any more questions from the council? All right, any questions from the public on this? And if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend go over to Magnolia Park. It's amazing what it's been turned into. You really should go see it.
95 East Fulton Street. Just really quick, just wanted to thank Joe, as many people have.
Thank you.
Constantly requested the upgrades of the parks, and we've worked for years to upgrade them with the Splash Park and so many others. I would like to just thank you for working on Sherman Brown Park also. Sherman Brown was the first African-American lifeguard, I believe, here in Long Beach, who was very instrumental in a lot. Long Beach resident here who passed away at the Martin Luther King Center. Mrs. Odom was the president there, and it was a very trying time. I actually received the Sherman Brown Award in 1991, and I think that his life and his legacy, people should know about how much they called him Iron Man here in the city of Long Beach, and that's what the Newsday did an article on him. It was a very tragic death, cardiac arrest, before they started putting the AD machines in buildings. But he was playing basketball and passed away there in the Martin Luther King Center. So thank you for redoing the park, and I know his family would be honored if you called them when you guys decide to break ground or do new upgrades. Very close friend of Harvey Wiesenberg. Thank you.
Yeah, and to your point, Crystal, I think you're still here. We've been working with Cynthia Rogers, the Deputy City Manager, and in the interim, what we've done there is we did all the windscreen that was around the whole park had fallen down because they didn't put holes in it. So we actually just reinstalled the whole thing. We've had our crews there. We replaced the landscaping that was in the planters. I think that looks better. We power washed the whole park. We also addressed the landscaping on the east and west side of the park. So we tried to do some quick fixes until we could actually do the major rehab, which we're going to do probably in the spring of next year, I believe. So, and that was because you brought that to our attention, and we're working together to fix it. Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, any more comments from the public? All right, seeing none, on to the next agenda item.
Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to increase the amount of a previously authorized purchase order.
Okay, I'm respectfully requesting that the City Council increase the purchase order issued to Premier Mechanical Services, Inc. by $12,966.43 for electrical work associated with the installation of the split AC heat unit system at the second floor of the Long Beach Ice Arena. That was completed a few months back. The original intent was for the city's electrician to undertake all the electrical work. Unfortunately, we only have one electrician in the city of Long Beach. He is pulled in many different directions. For example, he was working on the bathroom that you see, the beautiful bathroom. He did all the electrical work in that bathroom. He also did all the electrical work in the Lafayette Boulevard Comfort Station. So unfortunately, in this case, our initial intent was to undertake all the electrical work in-house associated with this new AC system or split unit system. And in this case, we actually had to have the contractor Premier do the work. So in summary, the original purchase order was $103,326.25. We had to increase it by $12,966.43. So the final total of the split AC system is $116,292.68. We have funding in the capital budget for this. I recommend we approve it. They did a great job on the project. So therefore, I recommend approving this change order for $12,966.43.
Jody, these units were splits, right?
It's a split unit, yeah. I think there was a mistake in the resolution.
Yeah, then we got to change the
Yeah, that was a
resolution.
typo that I missed, quite honestly, and Ron, the acting city manager, brought it to my attention today.
All right.
So
I've already addressed that.
So I move that wherever it says slit, to change it to split.
Second.
Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any questions from the council on this?
Joe, the one electrician we have, what department is that in?
he works for Beach Maintenance.
And originally this was going to be purchase and installation. What did why did we need electricians if the installation was part of the?
I think Councilman Lester is asking why the electrical work, if the project was to furnish and install the unit, why wasn't the electrical included? Well, we didn't include the electrical because we were going to try to save money by doing some of these components in-house. And again, Billy McCarthy, who's our electrician, he's very capable. He's excellent, but he's just swamped. He really, I can't say enough about him. I've worked with him for over 20 years. He's pulled in many different directions. He actually just wired up a lot of the ticket booths for our electronic ticketing system for the summer. Again, he worked on Lafayette. He worked on the bathrooms here. He is really, he's a one-man dynamo.
I believe during the budget process, it was requested for 1 or 2 more electricians, but we had to pass on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. We did request in the budget, I believe, a carpenter, a plumber, and an electrician. And I do thank you though, because I think we did get the one carpenter that we
Right.
asked for, but unfortunately we were denied the electrician and the plumber. So, but I do thank you for what we did get. But this is somewhat the price you pay for
Exactly.
not hiring another electrician.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any comments from the public? All right, seeing none, on to item 4.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into an agreement for the rehabilitation of the Long Beach Ice Arena roof with the lowest responsible bidder.
Joe? Okay, on May 25th, 2023, my office received 10, Councilman Lester, that's 10 bids. Okay, I'm kidding, I'm sorry. For the rehabilitation of the ice arena roof and gutter replacement. The first 2 bidders, they were disqualified. And they were disqualified because they didn't provide an MWBE plan that's required by the bid. If you do a job in Long Beach, our requirements are that if it's over $300,000, you have to have 10% of the job has to be awarded to a minority women-owned enterprise. And they did not, and as well, in addition, they didn't meet the city's apprenticeship program requirements. So the two lowest bids were actually disqualified. The third bidder was Milcon Construction, and their value, the price was $587,850. The remaining 7 bids range from $632,000 to $2,316,000. Milcon Construction has completed several jobs in the city on time and within budget, and they also do meet the 10% MWBU requirement that's in the bid, and they do have an apprentice program. Funding is available in the capital budget. Actually, we allocated, I think, $700,000 in the capital budget for this project, so this is one of the very rare, unusual occurrences where it actually came in well under what we budgeted for, which is good news. And therefore, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
A couple of questions.
Sure.
You said there was an amount that it had to surpass before it was subject to the MWBB?
Yeah, I think it's 250 or 300,000. Oh no, it's 300,000 for the MWBE, I believe.
So the 81,000 quote would not have.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It was the low bid was $81,000, which raised giant red flags to me because the engineer's estimate for this project was well over $600,000. But he didn't submit the appropriate MWBE plan, which I guess in this case, to your point, he wouldn't have to because in his view it was under the amount. But he also checked off that he didn't have an apprentice program.
And is there an amount for the apprenticeship?
That's actually a good point. I think that's actually $300,000 as well. So actually, he was under both, but we had this contractor vetted by a consulting firm, which is Cash and Associates, and they recommended that he wasn't a responsible bidder. I mean, $81,000 was just so far out of the realm of possibility.
You know, when I look at the bids from 81,000 to 2.3 million, that's an incredible disparity.
It is,
incredible. I've never seen anything like that. Can you explain the 2.3? I mean, what were they gold plating everything, or?
I can't explain why there would be such a disparity, quite honestly. The project is relatively straightforward. We're basically putting it's a steel roof. We're putting a coating system, which is going to give us a 10-year warranty because the roof's in fairly decent shape, and we're basically replacing the gutter system around the perimeter, and then it's going to drain to a gravel bed around the whole perimeter. So we're going to dig up the grass, and there's going to be gravel placed around the whole thing. So I mean, it's a pretty straightforward job. So I don't know why there's such a disparity, but 81,000, to me, I wouldn't feel comfortable giving someone a job of this magnitude to someone who bid $81,000 on a $600,000 plus job.
But did the people who vetted them give you reasons, or just the gut?
No, they just basically they disqualified the lowest 2 bidders and suggested that we give it to Milcon, which was the 3rd bidder, who's actually a reputable company.
Thank you.
Joe, is this going to be paid for eventually by a grant that we received?
No.
This is all us?
This is capital. This is a capital project that we budgeted a couple of years ago.
Okay.
There's no grant money for this one. This isn't a FEMA project. This is solely the capital budget funding.
So we put in $500,000 for the bathrooms, and we're putting in another $700,000. The bathrooms were grant funded, right?
That's a good point. I'll just mention those projects quickly. We just completed a FEMA hazard mitigation project that was valued at $1 million, and if anybody has a chance to go over there, we just replaced all the front entry doors. We just put it's called a FRP wrap around the whole building. It's a fiberglass reinforced polymer that was put around the whole building. And also we put flood plank stop lock systems at every entranceway, plus there's sump pumps at every entranceway. So the building has been protected, now is 100% funded by FEMA.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, next year we have a grant that we're going to do, and we're going to do it in the off season. We have $500,000 grant to basically rehabilitate the main first floor bathrooms in the arena, and also on the second floor we're going to make one of the bathrooms that's not ADA compliant. We're going to make it a unisex ADA compliant bathroom because right now there's no, it's not ADA compliant in any way, shape, or form. So you would have to go, if someone was skating, you'd have to take an elevator to the second floor, and you would have access to an ADA compliant bathroom. That project is going to start at the suggestion of our recreation commissioner. I think their slow season is, I think it's April or May through the next summer.
So that's 2.2 million invested in the ice arena.
Correct. So
in
we
the
have
past
500,000 plus
2
a
to 3
million
years,
plus this 680.
of
correct.
which only a third, which not only, but a third of it, which is city funded, and the rest is grant funded.
Correct.
Thank you. That's a great news.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And Joe, and just normally in any of these projects, you have a 15%, what do you call it, fudge factor or something like that?
They call like a
contingency.
Contingency.
So all these numbers include that 15%.
There's a 50. It's not. It's only 50,000. It's not. It doesn't have to be 10% or 15%.
Okay.
Usually we pick a number, but it's never like a standard 10%. I think in this case it was 50,000 possibly for the contingency, and that gives us a little flexibility if there's anything unforeseen to authorize it.
So in a situation like the air conditioner, where it would have fallen within close to the 10%, we just go, we ask for the money first so we don't need the fudge factor?
It's a little different. That project was procured differently.
Okay.
That was done, there was no contingency in that project. There was no, what you would call a fluff factor or contingency, didn't exist. So in other words, they were basically, premier contractor was a Suffolk County contract, okay? And that's how we retained them. And they were awarded exactly, I think it was 103,000 with no contingency amount in it.
So they can't come back to us and say, oh, well.
No, after we paid them this money, no.
All right.
But I see your point. No, in this project, there's no contingency. That
Okay.
was awarded for the exact amount.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe, when the roof is done, we've talked for some time about the possibility of putting solar panels up there.
You will have a great opportunity when this project is done.
So will it be able to
Acting City
accommodate?
Manager discussed this with me, and we discussed it with Economic Development and Community Development, and they're going to be exploring grant opportunities to put solar on there because it really is a big open palette up there. It's a huge square footage. I don't have it offhand, but it probably is a great opportunity.
Yeah, just for the edification of the people in the audience. It costs about $15,000 a month to keep the ice frozen in the ice arena. So we've talked for some time about maybe putting solar panels up there to try to knock that down as much as humanly possible. So, all right, with that, I will open this up to any comments from the public. All right, seeing none, on to item 5.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into an agreement for the resilient connectivity for the West Park Avenue, Long Beach Road to Grand Boulevard Project Phase 1.
No, go ahead, Joe. You're on a roll.
Okay. On June 1st, 2023, my office received one bid, unfortunately, only one, for the Park Avenue Resilient Connectivity Project. The sole bidder was Suffolk County Paving Corporation at $748,888. The project location is basically Park Avenue between Long Beach Road and Grand Boulevard. They're going to be putting in, this is really mostly actually a police department related project because they're going to be doing all new lane striping, all new crosswalk striping, new signage that's going to be consistent and in compliance with the uniform traffic code. They're going to be putting in variable message signs at various locations on the job site. And the good news about this project is half the funds, which is $374,444, is going to be funded through a grant from the New York State Department of State. It's very imperative that we authorize this project because we have to spend this money by September. So it is pressing that this be awarded. About a week before this bid was due, I had to actually postpone it because no one had picked it up. So the consultant basically started calling anybody he could, and luckily we did get a reputable contractor, Suffolk County Paving, to bid on this project. Funding is available in the capital budget for the city's match. Therefore, I recommend awarding it.
It was a very difficult project actually to fit within the I guess you would say, the rules that the state had put together on this. They were not very agreeable to allowing us to use the grant funding for a lot. So we started to talk about how this would play into actually even the comprehensive look at the city, so that we had a commonality of signage and consistency in application in the crosswalks and things like that. So we were able to get some, I'm glad we got a bidder on this one too, Joe.
Yeah, and this is going to happen. You're going to see this going on through the summer. They're going to be doing some of the work at night, so it doesn't disrupt traffic, but it may be a slight inconvenience, so I just wanted you to be aware of that.
You answered my grant question, so thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Joe, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. You said it was difficult because we were kind of in a time crunch. Is that a reason for the one bid?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just the nature of the work, in my opinion.
I mean, it seems from 11 bids to one bid.
Yeah, no, that's why I know.
Yeah.
I know how you feel about only getting one bid. Believe me, it doesn't upset anybody. It upsets me having only one bid. I shouldn't say we had like 4 or 5 pick it up, but none of them on the day the bid was due. Around 9:30 in the morning, nobody had dropped off any bid packages. They were like mostly fence companies and things of that nature, but not one of them submitted a bid. So we had 4 or 5 people pick it up, but they didn't submit a bid.
Now, something like this with a $748,000 project, they have to come up with $75,000 to bid?
No.
Do we have to come up with 10% on a bid?
No, they have to put in a 10% bid bond when they bid. They put in what's called a 10% bid bond. When you submit a bid, I open the bids online in public, and they have to do one of 2 things. They have to give a certified check in the amount of 10% of the bid, or they give a bid bond in the amount of 10%. Those are the 2 requirements. That's what they have to do. So they basically are guaranteeing their bid with, again, either a certified check, 10%, or a bid bond. Most of them always give a bid bond, and that's a mandatory requirement of every bid.
Well, it's not everywhere. A lot of places don't
Really?
require it. The school districts, I don't believe, require it.
Do they have any problem, like someone putting in a bid and not performing the work, I guess? Yeah.
You always have that problem.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm just wondering.
I mean, I've been doing in Long Beach. That's been the requirement. I can't speak, I guess, for the school district and how they do it, but it seems to work.
Well,
and I'm going to give you another example of an upcoming bid that we're going to be voting on next week. Bel Air Electric put in a bid to do the backup generator. We're going to be relocating it from the lower level of City Hall. We're going to be putting a new one on the 2nd floor. They came in at a bid of $350,000. The next bid is about $480,000, and they don't want to do the project. But they submitted a bid bond in the amount of 10%. So I spoke to the legal department, and we basically told him, he said, I'm going to lose money on this project. I said, well, that's not my problem. Are you going to do the job? And he said, well, I don't want you to go to my bonding company because I'm going to look terrible and it's going to affect my, my business. So Bel Air is a very big company, and they're going to do the job. He says he's going to do it at a loss. I don't know if I believe him, but you're going to see it's going to be one of the items coming up in either the next council meeting or the one after that. So I think the bond in this case, the threat of going to his bonding company made him inclined to do the job.
I understand, Joe. My problem is the one bid. The one
Yeah,
bid, and
we're
it
under
keeps
such
coming
time
up and
yeah.
coming up and coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out why people, don't want to bid on a $750,000 project. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, on to item 6.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase bike racks from the sole responsible bidder.
So Joe and I kind of worked on this one together for a while. We've been hearing a lot of complaints about lack of bike racks and things like that. So we took a look at the way the bike racks were around the city, and we have some sidewalks that actually, we have some sidewalks in the city that are very difficult to put normal bike racks on. Some of them are very thin. So you'll see we're trying to be a little bit more consistent with some of the bike racks that are down in the West End, trying to thematically bring it across the city. The smiley face there and the heart are for bikes that can be more linear, so you're able to put them on a narrower sidewalk without impeding people walking by, and the other ones are a shark and a fish. So those are the type of bike racks that we've purchased for this particular money that, I think it was left over in a capital project, wasn't it, Joe?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, this was money that was sitting in a capital project that was not moving, that we chose to put into the bike racks to try and get some more bicycle parking around the city.
Yeah, that green, that's supposed to be a muskie. It's a fish, which we're trying to change it up a little bit in the city.
It's a smiley face.
And, yeah, the smiley face. The heart, we got the idea from, there's a nice little shop in the West End who has the peace sign and the smiley face and the heart in front of it. We're just trying to do things a little different, shake it up a little bit with the bike racks. So again, we did have leftover money in the capital budget. In this case, there was only one bid received for this, and it was received in the Office of Purchasing. We're going to be getting 3 of these smiley faces, 3 hearts, 2 sharks, 2 muskies, and that's pretty much
That's
it. And the cost is $25,148.
Joe, it was one bid from the company that makes
Correct.
this.
Yes.
You know, that
Yeah, it was a specialized product.
Yeah, it was specialized in the.
Correct.
You know, so I don't see how anybody else, well, it said reasonably equivalent. Is there any other company that makes the reasonably equivalent?
In every bid, we always put
Yeah.
approved equal.
But when you mandate that it has to be this company.
It'll say that company or approved
Yeah.
equal.
Yeah.
And then
the company.
And that's in every bid that we do. We always do that. That's a standard clause.
So my question is, we had bike racks in the, I don't know what you call it, the dumping ground behind Center Millwork?
The storage yard, Joe, by the bridge.
Storage
Oh, okay.
yard. And some of them, as I understand, had to be repainted or redone. Is that right?
Some of them need to be refinished, some of them were destroyed by vandals.
Yeah, and that happened back in January, the destruction?
When they came in
I'm
and they
not
cut
familiar
it.
with that,
Yeah.
quite honestly. I wasn't aware of that.
We had a larceny of the yard over there, and as I previously explained, the thief came in and cut the bike racks up and took them as scrap metal. So they left behind small pieces of a bike rack.
So how many bike racks did we have left there after that happened? Do you know?
I don't know offhand.
Okay. I just, I'm wondering what happened to them. I still don't understand. These are beautiful bike racks, but I don't understand. It seems to me, looking at the shark and the other fish, whatever it is, that you still have to have the bikes protruding.
It depends on where you put it, quite honestly. Yes,
Well, it would be
you have
placed-
to account for that, of course.
Wouldn't they be placed against the buildings, the
Yeah,
businesses?
for example, one of the at Magnolia Park, and it hasn't come yet. We actually ordered through the company as part of that project. They're going to be putting in a smiley face, a heart, and a dolphin, and it's going to be on the west side of the park where you come off the boardwalk ramp, and you're going to put it up against. There's a fence there, so that would be the ideal spot. We'd have a heart. We'd have the dolphin and the smiley face right up against the fence, right near the access point to the park. So you have to space them. You have to put you wouldn't want to put the muskie or the shark in the residential business district, of course, because you wouldn't want the bikes protruding. So you have to pick and choose the locations. Like that would be more appropriate for Kennedy Plaza, quite honestly, or even by the railroad over, where we put the bike racks.
Joe, just a quick, how many bikes does the smiley face and the heart?
That's only going to be a couple of bikes, 2 or 3 bikes at most. That's it. So they really, again, I use the nice little shop in the West End who has it in front of their establishment. It's perfect for something like that, or where you have a low traffic area. Or even that would be better in like the residential district, in the similar to those coil black ones that we have all down the street. It would be more similar to something like that.
Were the bike racks over by the train station fixed or cleaned up? I think we had a resident right a few weeks ago. Was that all squared away?
I don't know if they've been
That I don't
actually
know.
fixed yet. It's been spoken to in the maintenance department. to get to it, but they're probably a little bit busy with the beach and stuff like that right now, so.
Okay.
And we also ordered through Site Specialist, which is another company, and under the purchasing procurement guidelines, 8 other bike racks. They're very similar to the ones that are out where they're blue and they just curlicue, so to speak. So we ordered 8 of those. We're getting 8 of these. That's 16. We're putting 3 at Magnolia Park. That's 19. And now Pacific Playground is also going to get one of these as part of the project. It's actually in the project to put another one. So the combination, we're probably ordering around 20 bike racks at this point.
And you don't know how much the ones with the curly
Those
stuff
are about $1,200 each.
About what?
They're about $1,200 each.
Yeah.
Because we just ordered 8 of them. It was around.
Okay,
it was around
thank
10
you.
grand.
All right, any questions from the public? Ms. Egan?
Nora Egan, I might have missed when he said the timeline on when they're arriving.
Oh, that I didn't mention. There's quite a long lead time. These you
Yeah.
will not have for this summer, unfortunately.
Yeah, 'cause I saw-
It's going to be after the summer.
I
for
saw their
these.
lead time was 6 to
Yeah, it's a while.
8 to 16 weeks. So in the meantime, can we get the other ones
We're not-
fixed?
Just so you know, we have a shipment of the other ones I just mentioned. Those are I hate to say the blue squiggly ones that go up and down. Those are going to be shipping this week.
But the ones that
They're
were
not being
damaged
used,
in the
Ms. Egan.
yards.
They're being used, they're just rusted on the bottom and need paint. So they're not out of service, the ones that,
that were in the yard,
that council, no, the ones in the yard were cut into pieces.
all of them.
I believe that every one of them was damaged to some extent where they were cut, yes. Someone took them as scrap metal.
And we can't fix them anyway? Like,
The legs are missing on them and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but that was something that took place back in January. We've since taken much greater security measures there.
okay, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Ms. Hessian?
Eileen Hessian. They're cute, and I've seen the one in the West End that's a peace sign, and they're cute, but they don't really hold any bikes. We're trying to make bikes a thing in Long Beach where we can be able to park a lot of them, not just 2. And if you take the heart and you park the 2 bikes on it on either side of it, you don't even see the heart. So I vote no on all of these.
Okay.
I'd like to see the regular kind of, kind of ugly bike racks that they have in front of CVS or the library, a regular bike rack that will hold 10 bikes that costs $500, and we can draw a picture of a heart in the parks. Thank you very much.
All right, any other comments? All right, seeing none, next item.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase replacement parts for the boardwalk benches from the sole source provider.
You want me to do this, or you want to take it, Joe?
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
If
very
you
straightforward.
want.
It's basically replacement parts for the damaged benches up on the boardwalk. The city, a number of years ago, started that program. There's only one vendor that actually supplies the actual material so that they're all consistent, made out of the same materials, and we need to fix a bunch of benches.
Yeah, right now there's approximately 15 to 20 benches that need to be repaired, but this will also give us stock, which we don't currently have right now, which is a problem. So I recommend approving this purchase.
Did we ever look at other cities to see the annual maintenance costs that we should have charged in the first place for those benches?
No, we did not. I mean, this program, quite honestly, is it's really it's cost prohibitive at this point. The residents buy the bench, and we have to take care of it in perpetuity.
Right, so we didn't charge enough the first time when we
No,
originally
they
did
should
the
have.
program?
They really should have some sort of. There should have been a fee associated with it, some sort of nominal fee for
Mhm.
maintenance, because it's really becoming. I mean, it's a big burden for the city to undertake to do this regularly. And we don't take any more orders, just so you know, of the benches. Essentially, the program has been terminated for all intents and purposes.
Do we take donations?
Yes.
Joe, these
Yes.
benches, the way we are positioned right now, once again, we were doing business with a sole entity that, everything was proprietary. And if they decided, right now they're charging us, what, I think $150 per plank.
I don't know the cost, but I'll take your word for that.
And we have it here somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's a terrible program for cost-wise for the city.
I'm sorry.
And I agree with you.
On the edge,
on
it's
the point.
$157. On the regular plank, it's 3 by 4 by 95. It's $105, which is for a plank an incredible amount of money, especially something that doesn't hold up in the sun.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
So, has there been any thought to starting to slowly replace the benches? Because as it stands, they might not be uniform, but as it stands right now, if this company decides to charge us $1,000 a plank, we have no choice.
I agree with your point 100%. I don't know what the alternative is.
The alternative is to start to replace them, but then you
Right, but
lose
then we have the issue with the
uniformity.
the plaque that's on each bench. It gets a little
The
complicated.
doesn't the plaque come off? Can't you screw it onto a new bench?
Right, you would have to look into getting another slat or another bench that you could actually take the plaque off and put it on the new bench. I know, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's...
It would be essentially going back to people and say you have to buy your bench again.
No, you don't. If we're paying this much money to fix the benches, if something's broken and let's say they 3 boards are broken or an edge board, that's $500 right there. And if you can get a bench for $500 with a 10-year guarantee, which I've seen,
All right.
then we replace them. Now I know uniformity would be a nightmare, but I think eventually we'd get over that.
That's a work
Okay.
session.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a
Hang
discussion
on.
worth having, no doubt,
Joe,
but...
hang on.
Sure, go
Hang
ahead.
on. It's 9 o'clock. It's hot. We're only halfway through the agenda. A lot of this conversation has nothing to do with this particular agenda item. New benches might be a great idea, but it doesn't have to do with buying parts to fix the current benches. So that's the issue we'll be voting on. So in the interest of time, let's try to please stick with what we are actually voting on.
I'm not going to argue with you, John. I think it's exactly about this point, but you're right. It is late.
Okay. So any more questions or comments from the council? Okay. Any from the public? Got to come up.
It just seems to me that there are way more benches than we actually need to service the people on the boardwalk. So, what's that? Oh, Tracy Fenton.
Thank you.
So perhaps removing the benches that are broken and using what's left of them for parts for the remaining benches. It doesn't solve the problem of the plaques, but I just wanted to make that recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who lost a loved one, they're really passionate about them, and we deal with every single family, and it's a big task. It's not to keep going, but we probably should have a work session or a larger discussion about this.
Yes.
Okay. Any more comments from the public? All right. Seeing none, on to item 8.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into agreements for auto body repair services for the city of Long Beach vehicles on an as-needed basis.
So this is to approve the vendors who will do the repair work when a vehicle is involved in an automobile accident. There were 3 actual bidders on this. 2 of them were almost essentially the same. You're permitted to award this to multiple companies, and the 2 vendors that actually are in this award are companies that the city has a long-standing relationship with and is quite satisfied with their work.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
Is this basically collision, Ron?
It's for when a vehicle primarily gets into an accident, so when one of our city vehicles gets hit, if it's covered, if it's not our fault, the check from the insurance company from the other side would go to the vendor, and any difference in the repair would be covered by the city. So yeah, it's to do the actual repairs of vehicles that were in automotive accidents.
So I'm trying to understand.
Primarily.
I know we're self-insured to some point.
To some point, right.
And so the newer cars have collision on them?
Yeah, so I think it's up to 5 years we have collision on our vehicles, and then in effect, it's collision. They don't call it collision in government, but it's collision. And then after that, they are taken off the collision policy because it becomes cost prohibitive.
So when we're talking about $780,000 potential for a year,
No, that's the entire vehicle repair line, so the amount of that is the amount of money in the total vehicle repair line that includes broken anything on a vehicle that goes to city garage to get fixed.
So not collision, we're not talking $780,000?
No, that's not all for that, that's just the line that funds the repairs. If the line starts to run out of money, a vehicle would either not get repaired, or there would be a line transfer from another budget line to fill it in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, on to item 10.
Item 9 has been voted on already. Item 10 is a resolution to schedule the first regular city council meeting of July for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023.
This is pretty straightforward. The normal meeting, because we do the meetings on the first and third Tuesdays of the month, that's the 4th of July. So we're looking to move the meeting to the next day, to Wednesday, July 5th. Any questions from the council? Any from the public? All right, item 11.
Item 11 is a resolution reappointing a marriage officer for the city of Long Beach.
So every 4 years, we have to reappoint a marriage officer, and Dave is our marriage officer. So anybody who wants to get married, see this guy right here, and he'll take care of it for you.
You get to do it in this luxurious chamber.
You could do it outside, too.
Or out by the fountain, just not in the fountain.
All right, any questions from the public? All right, next item.
Item 12 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of a local law amending the charter of the city of Long Beach regarding assessment levy collection of taxes. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held July 5th at 7 p.m. Item 13 is approval of minutes from prior meetings, May 23rd and June 6th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And finally, item 14 was added by unanimous consent and is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to accept a charitable donation.
Okay, I'm going to be recusing myself on this issue, so I'm going to be asking Councilwoman Treston to take over on this issue.
Okay, so this is basically a donation from the Long Beach Movie Nights to the city of Long Beach in the amount of $15,314.37. The organization is the one that actually funds the movies on the beach for the city, and they're donating the money to the city so that the city can then, at least this year, hold movies on the beach.
Any questions from the council? Seeing none. Any questions from those in attendance? Seeing none.
Okay.
It's called the Long Beach Movie Nights. Also, the reason Councilman Bendo actually recused himself is because he's one of the people that raised the money.
Liz, do you want to vote on this now so we don't have to keep him hidden?
Good idea.
Well,
maybe.
we can vote on it during the
It's
regular.
tempting.
That doesn't,
Oh, he's allowed to come back?
yeah, he's allowed to come back. We can leave that in the regular voting.
Whatever you want to
Okay.
do.
Mr. Bendo, you may return.
Come on down.
Mr. Bendo, you can come back to the dais. Okay, on to the voting portion. So we'll start with item 2 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the capital projects fund budget. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to increase the amount of a previously authorized purchase order. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into an agreement for the rehabilitation of the Long Beach Ice Arena roof with the lowest responsible bidder. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli. Number 4.
Okay. Yes, I vote yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes, I'm sorry, I have one question on the resolution. It says 10 bids, but the backup said 11 bids. Joe, is 10 accurate? It's accurate. Okay, yes, I vote yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into an agreement for the resilient connectivity for West Park Avenue, Long Beach Road to Grand Boulevard Project Phase 1. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase bike racks from the sole responsible bidder. Who would introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
You know, I do agree with needing the ability to park more bikes and encourage more biking. And in my mind, this current mix of racks doesn't really do that, serve that purpose. And since the lead time is so long for this particular thing anyway, I vote no.
Councilmember Lester.
As much as I like smiley faces, I vote no, too.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but these are funds that are in economic development that are on the, I think, the balance sheet or capital. So basically, if we have already borrowed the money and we can only spend them for specific purposes. This fits the specific purpose with a little creative designs in areas of the community that do not have as wide sidewalks as other areas. Therefore, I vote yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase replacement parts for boardwalk benches from the sole source provider. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
No.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into agreements for auto body repair services for the City of Long Beach vehicles on an as-needed basis. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank Acting City Manager Walsh for really working on the central garage to create efficiencies and centrally manage the central garage, and therefore I vote yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution to schedule the first regular council meeting for July for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
My only regret is July 4th, in this building, in this floor, we could see fireworks from all over the island. But I vote yes. We'll change it.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 11 is a resolution reappointing a marriage officer for the City of Long Beach. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Gladly, yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 12 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of a local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding assessment levy collection of taxes. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 13 has already been voted on. Item 14 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to accept a charitable donation. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
Wait
I
one
will.
second, see.
I got to step away again.
Um,
You guys took long enough. I could have gone to break.
I'm sorry, who moved?
I did.
Who second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
I just want to thank the Civics for all their work on the Long Beach movie nights, and I vote yes.
City
Thank
managers,
you for the donation.
City manager's monthly personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's straighten this out. So, in case this might be your first time, you get 3 minutes. I said in case this is your first time, you get 3 minutes to speak on what topic you signed up for. And we will start with Scott London. Sorry if the handwriting's a little off. Looks like Lundon.
Thank you, Council President Bendo, Vice President Treston, Council Members Lester, McInnes, and Postolieri. My name is Scott Lundin, and I am the Vice President of Permitting and Community Affairs at Equinor. As you're aware, our company is developing the Empire Wind Project approximately 15 to 30 miles south of Long Island. I'm here tonight to share some insights from 2 recent open houses we hosted in the area. Our team was here in Long Beach 2 weeks ago, and we held an event in Island Park back in May. We had similar events back in November and December, and on behalf of the entire Empire Wind team, I'd like to express my gratitude to those that came out and talked with us about the projects at these events. Over the past few weeks, we've had over 350 community members join us, and many of them shared enthusiasm and passion for offshore wind in our project. They were excited about the innovation and good jobs that are coming with it, the opportunity for Long Beach to be directly involved in the fight against climate change, and ability to secure a future in the emerging blue economy. We've recently been criticized for not being open enough with information, and I'm here tonight to say that we hear you and will continue to work hard to meet your expectations. Our team intends to start attending your council meetings regularly, and we plan to open a local office soon for folks to come in and meet with us at their convenience to talk about the project. Our team's committed to working collaboratively in this community to ensure Empire Wind delivers more than just power into the grid. We hope to create value and opportunity for this city, but we can't do that without your support. Following the recent events in May and June, we sent out a survey to get feedback about how we did. We found that 65% of the participants who attended support the project. When we look further across the area, recent market research shows that 62% of residents are supportive of that project. These are numbers I'm proud of. However, I acknowledge many people still have questions and concerns, and we have a lot of work to do. We handed out over 2,500 fact sheets and poster printouts, which were developed in direct response to questions we've collected at our previous events in late November and early December. These fact sheets are available online at empirewind.com, and we intend to continue to host events and meetings like we had a few weeks ago. We publish a bi-monthly newsletter about the project which reaches over 3,100 people, and anybody that wants to start receiving these can sign up on our website. Thank you for the privilege to speak here this evening, and I humbly ask that you give us the opportunity to continue to learn about your community and work in partnership to help bring innovation to the region and create opportunity across the Barrier Island. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, a little decorum, please. Alan Nafty.
Good evening, Alan Nafty. Not born here, but pretty much raised since I was in elementary school. And I can't speak enough on behalf of Long Beach and its population, how many people are appalled by this project. It is, hands down, an environmental risk on the ecosystem, global warming. The past 30 years that wind farms have been installed, the temperature of sea surfaces and the air have only risen higher than prior to CO2 emissions, and also the emissions that have been regulated by remediation, that had gone down by 2002 graph as the mean, and after the installation of wind farms, it has only risen parabolically, I should say. So that's one thing. But secondly, more important than that is the high voltage line going through Long Beach. Listening to Senator Parks and the, I'm sorry? Parker, sorry. Senator Parker, and the way he explained that the City Council of Long Beach, who's voicing on our behalf, and I was here at the meeting when you guys voted for the for home rule, and I thought you guys were going to advocate on our behalf, not wanting something like this running through our town. It's a little bit disappointing standing up here having to address the fact that you're supposed to be our advocates. And we put our trust in you guys to do that. And when you hear somebody else say that the Long Beach residents voted in favor for something that we're not in favor for, is really disappointing. It's actually quite appalling. I'm sorry to say, but you voted on home rule, and why did you vote for putting the CV line? You approved it. Not what Senator Parker is saying. He said exactly the opposite. He said they have a council, and the council spoke on the population's behalf. That, I don't know. Please explain.
So I'll be happy to explain. Senator Parker has his head up his ass.
Oh, I could tell by the video, but still.
So we voted for home rule for one reason and one reason only. We do not want bureaucrats in Albany or in Washington making this decision for us. We want local control. So on Thursday, the acting city manager and I and a couple others had a call with Equinor, where we were basically yelling at Equinor, hung up on them, and told them, don't call us back until you get your head out of your ass. Then we spoke to our lawyers, who told us, the state, if we don't do home rule, the state can take the beach through eminent domain. So to protect ourselves, to protect us and the residents of this city, we need home rule. We need that alienation to pass so the decision rests with the people of this city, not with a bunch of bickering politicians up in Albany who don't give a crap about us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so basically what I'm hearing is that if we do get home rule and have the ability to suppress this whole project, the EV line, will you be on our side?
So, I will add to this. So yesterday I spoke with Assemblyman Brown, I spoke with Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick, and I spoke with Congressman D'Esposito. All of us are on the same page. We are all saying we want Washington out of this, we want Albany out of this. This is a decision for the residents of Long Beach and no one else. That is what we are doing. That is how we are proceeding. So no matter how it's being portrayed on social media, there's people in this room that are, well, let's just say the truth is, they left the truth behind a long time ago. This is about protecting the people in this room and the people all out there. That is our job. That is what we are doing. So we want the decision-making here. I don't want a bunch of bickering Democrats and Republicans who are fighting over Republicans hate wind and renewables and want to keep doing fossil, and Democrats are woke and push. I don't care. None of us care. None of us care about that stupid party politics stuff. We're doing this because we love our city and we are protecting our city. That is our number one priority, is protecting our residents.
Thank you. We are happy to hear that. And quite honestly, I hope that you continue to be on our side.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I apologize, I'm going to butcher this because the handwriting is kind of rough. Jessica, Ronlf or E? Some.
Hi. Hi, David.
Hello.
Hi. I'm here because some community members had been going through the ZBA process regarding an investor trying to subdivide a lot on our block. From 2020 to today, we fought 2 cases and both were denied. Then we just found out this morning that the subdivision was granted without going to the ZBA. Obviously, we're shocked. And then we looked into it, and we got the paperwork. And on the paperwork, we see that the building department said that this subdivision was not in violation of Code 9-105.2J, which means you can't demolish a structure or any part thereof. When I looked at the drawings, it shows a house that has no chimney, because the chimney had been demolished in February of this year. The community invested a lot of time and money, and we went through the proper process. So to find out that a subdivision had been granted was a total violation of trust and due process. And then to find out that the drawings that were submitted omitted the demolition of the chimney to accommodate the subdivision. Can someone please explain how this occurred?
Yes, so I met with the building inspector about this. The code that you're citing, it's not that you can't demolish, it's that you can't demolish to meet the requirements to get the subdivision. So that's not what was done here.
What's the requirement? You need parking, right? You need parking for the existing house. And that chimney would have pushed the driveway over 18 inches into the 40 by 100 lot, making it not zone compliant.
So respectfully, I disagree with you.
Why?
Because I do.
No, based on the drawings. I'd like a factual reason.
I reviewed the drawings, I reviewed the code, and it's my opinion that It was granted as of right.
This
And-
isn't a thing that's a matter of opinion. It's an actual measurable
Okay.
drawing. No.
I disagree with you.
You don't think architecturals? They're engineers who make them. They have to be specific and on point. We fought the driveways he wanted in the first subdivision case. We won. Then we fought them again when he legally put them in. And we had to get the building department to go there, calling them for 3 days, saying he's pouring driveways that he was just denied 6 months ago. On the third day, after the concrete trucks had left, someone showed up with a stop work order. Then he was allowed to go before the ZBA again. Our lawyer fought that because you can't hear the same case twice. And that got denied. Then he removed the chimney, the one thing that was stopping him from having the driveway. That is part thereof, the structure. Last I checked, I think we all know a chimney is part of a house.
Okay, again, I respectfully disagree with your analysis.
Based on what, though?
Based on my reading of the section of the code that says the demolition of the chimney does not prohibit the granting of the subdivision. So my opinion is that the subdivision was granted as of right.
I'd like to give you these because we have, each is a copy for you to go over. And if you go to the building department, well, actually, you'd have to go and find the old drawings because the current new drawings don't show the chimney. Here, we have 2 more. Sorry, David. They don't show the chimney. And if you look at the code, you'll see it says building, structure, or any part thereof. Now, when Sam Unger wrote this code, he specifically chose structure because if you look at the definition in section 9, it spells out everything.
My suggestion is, because we're not going to get this resolved in 3 minutes, I would suggest making an appointment to sit down, or if need be, your attorney to sit down.
We should have to hire another attorney? Is that what you're saying?
I assumed you still had one.
No.
Oh, okay. Then I would suggest setting some time aside to sit down, or I guess you could even, after the meeting, go in the room over there and talk. Because, again, I don't think you're going to resolve this in the 3-minute time frame. So you two need to get together and talk.
So we have a commitment to meet after? Yep. Appreciate it.
Okay. Tracy Fenton.
Hello again. Sorry about approaching prematurely before. This is my first council meeting.
Welcome.
And since I've already gotten about a minute, I'll try and keep this to 2. So my understanding is that, or my expectation regarding the wind project, and I was just listening to the gentleman from Equinor, is that they will pay us for the privilege of running the lines through the island. And that, as is mentioned before, this project is not a Long Beach project. It's way bigger than us, but what they're looking for from us is the ability to run the lines through the island. So what I'd like to ask is that when we have discussions about this project, that we keep the opportunity costs of not doing it at the center of the conversation. Because this is a negotiation, and I don't know how much money they would pay us, but I have to imagine it's a really large sum of money. And if that could significantly reduce or even eliminate the debt that we're carrying from the Haberman case, not only would it allow us to reduce the taxes, because that 10% increase, I'm sure, is the beginning, and a great burden for people on fixed income, but it would also allow us to fund the long-term development plans that were laid out tonight, will likely bring jobs. And the truth of the matter is that there are cost-benefit, risk-reward analysis that go into every single decision. And from a energy standpoint, I think it's well documented that fossil fuels are way worse for all living creatures. Nothing is without risks, and that's true of every decision this council makes. But I ask that that unique opportunity that is not going to come to us again from any other source to right this ship financially, stay at the center of the discussion. And I want to thank you all very much for your service to this community. It is a thankless job being a public servant, certainly these days, and I want to thank our citizen volunteers who are on the committees and the advisory boards. I'm truly grateful for the work that you're doing, and appreciate it. Again, thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kev? All right, can we have some decorum?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to be shouting out like that. We're going to hold decorum.
Sorry, I have to state my address? Okay.
That's
What?
You
Yeah,
don't have to say your address. You could just say
Okay.
you're from Long Beach.
Yeah, West End.
Folks, look, we understand there's a lot of passion on this topic, but there's also people with opinions on both sides of this. So you need to show some respect, let people voice their opinion. That's what this is about. Because you want to be respected when you are speaking, you need to do the same for others. So, Kevin Martinson.
Oh, how you guys doing?
Okay.
Thanks.
How are you?
Thank you for your email the other day, John. I appreciate
My pleasure.
it. So I was going to ask you about the home rule and understanding the home rule, and you kind of explained it. And one of the things you said was that that you don't want them to take eminent domain, the state to take eminent domain, and that's the reason we started home rule. Is that correct? These are not gotcha questions. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of stuff, you know. So bear with me because I'm very passionate about this cable not coming through Long Beach. So I just looked at the handbook on alienation and conversions of municipal parklands. And according to this, it says, under the rules of the Senate and Assembly, a parkland and an alienation bill cannot be sent to the floor for a vote until the municipal home rule request is received. So they cannot vote on it, and this cannot happen unless you guys start the home rule process.
Correct.
So by starting the home rule process, in my opinion, you've actually given the power to the state legislation, and now we have to come back here and we have to actually vote on it again. So if you don't start the home rule process, you're saying that the state would take eminent domain.
I'm not saying they would. I'm saying they can.
So I did some research on that as well, and what I found was nothing. I've never seen. I did a lot of research. There hasn't been any kind of alienation of a parkland where New York State has ever taken eminent domain. And I find that I've checked this out in multiple different ways. It's just never happened. So, you know, this is why I like you guys. I really do. And I want you guys on our side. And sometimes I feel like you're on my side, and then sometimes I don't. But when something happens like this, I get worried because we are scared of this cable. And I don't know, I don't think there's an amount of money that you can put on the lives of the people who live in this area in Long Beach on these dangerous EMFs. And not only that, this high megawatt cable coming through our neighborhood. It's very dangerous, and we're afraid for our kids. And you guys are our neighbors. And many of you have said you're against the cable. You know, right, Roy? You're against the cable coming through. You said it last time. Tina, you said it. You pretty much said it too, John. You said you're against the cable going through. Mm-hmm. You didn't like it going through the bay. So why are we doing this? Why are we waiting? And why don't we just get a resolution done on the next meeting and vote this down right away, right when this thing gets passed?
So you're doing online. So you're doing online research is great because that's how, quite frankly, because of Equinor's failings, and I'll throw NYSERDA in there too. Mm-hmm. That's how people are getting their information. Is they have to do their own research. You know, we had the Island Park Civic Association group start first to give information. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an engineer. We hired experts in this area, lawyers, and our lawyers are telling us that it is a possibility because that this is a federal and state thing that they want, that they could, now I'm not saying will, but they told us, could use eminent domain to take the parkland. I get it. Maybe you couldn't find anything that said that. We had 2 lawyers tell us it's possible. So when you got 2 people that are supposed to be experts on this telling you it's possible and telling you the best way to protect yourself is to get the alienation so the control of the decision shifts to the city of Long Beach and not Albany or Washington. That's what our lawyers are recommending. That's what we're doing.
Okay, well, with that said, it being that the last meeting we spoke and I asked you who's for this cable, you said nobody. Okay, and that's on record that you said that. And when you said that, nobody's for this cable, that tells me that you guys are not for this cable coming through Long Beach. So why don't we do a resolution and take this down right away and just get it off our plate? And they can go somewhere else. Why can't they just, why isn't Atlantic Beach, Nassau County, or Hempstead doing a home rule? Why are we doing a home rule?
Unfortunately, time's up. We got a lot of people. I'll stick around and talk to you after if you want. We can talk about this.
I think this is really important. If you just give me a minute or two here. Like, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. We got a big pile of people here still wanting to talk.
Does anybody want to hear this? I mean, and John, no disrespect. I'm telling you, when you tell me that you're against the cable, I believe you.
Kevin,
I believe you.
So if you want to stick around, we can talk after. Other people have signed up to speak as well.
All right.
We have to be fair to everyone. I'll be happy to stick around and talk with you after.
All right, let's go get a beer across the street at J.J. Cooper's afterwards. How about that?
We could do that.
All right. Come on.
Okay, and Kelly Martinson.
So, Kelly Martinson, proudly 311 East Penn Street. I am on the East End. I am on the East End. I've been here a bunch of times talking to you about my fear regarding that high voltage EMF cable that lands here at 25 milligus. Some of you are new here. Maybe you just arrived. Maybe you got here in, 2020, let's say. But it's safe to say most of you were here for Superstorm Sandy. You were here, we were here together. It didn't matter if you were Democrat or Republican. When that storm came through, we faced it together, we were united. You know what I learned in 2012? I learned I love this town and I love my neighbors. And your neighbors are scared. Your neighbors are scared of that high voltage cable coming right through the middle of the East End. It's impacting us right in the middle. It's not headed to the west. It's right here. Your neighbors are scared. If that cable doesn't scare you, if that's not your pressure point, I respect that. The thought of the superblock at 1.2 million square feet, I talked to a construction manager who told me that's 2,000 pounds per square feet. Talk about that infrastructure. If that's not bad enough, we've had this sinkhole, right? We're on a barrier island. So now, in the place of this 1.2 million square foot new structure, we think it's a good idea to put a trench through it and add utilities when we know human activity, excavation, and utilities cause sinkholes. If that doesn't scare you, I promise you, it scares your neighbors. The noise, the pollution, the construction, the traffic, if that doesn't scare you, again, it scares your neighbors. How about the path to the hospital? My son had a surfing accident, a bad one. He had 60 staples in his head. They took Lincoln Boulevard to get him to that hospital. He was moved to Nassau. But that's the road they took. That road going under construction, if that doesn't scare you, it scares your neighbors. So maybe none of that scares you. Maybe I'm filibustering here. I want to tell you, it scares your neighbors. The idea that the view of Pops is going to be a power station, That scares your neighbors. So I'm asking you up here to choose your reason. Choose any one of those reasons and act now. Create an ordinance that refuses any cable coming through this town. I also want you to remember back to Sandy. Remember again how strong we were. You know what we did? If you weren't here, you don't know, but what we did is we put on masks, paper masks. We cut people's homes, we cut their sheetrock because no builders could come in. Why'd we cut their sheetrock in the basement? Because we didn't want mold to grow in their basement because it was a danger. We have a new danger coming. I believe we can be the best we can be, but we have to protect our neighbors. You guys have to protect us like we did in 2012. We all deserve that, you and us.
Okay, thank you. Charles Gary? Charles Gary? Okay, Christina Kramer.
Hi, Christina Kramer, 361 East Broadway. You know, everything they say, there's so many reasons for this project not to be happening. But I'm here to ask, what's happening with the intervenor funds? What are they reviewing? What are the experts reviewing? We haven't heard a report on any of that. What specifically is being reviewed? When does the city council expect to meet with the residents and go over what they've learned? Are you reviewing anything that's not included with the intervenor funds? Are you asking for any constituent feedback on how those funds are spent? I can tell you for sure that most of the people in this room would like the intervenor funds to be used on some EMF exploration and research. And then I also wanted to show you this. This is a 71-page document from the Article 7. This is Equinor saying that they don't care to follow our ordinances. And within the 71 pages, there's like, we'd like to not follow 18 to 32. So there's so many more ordinances that they just don't want to follow. And their answer for not following them are things like, these requirements are unreasonably restrictive, viewing available technologies and factors of cost and economics. There's nothing unique. They have these canned answers. I don't think we should accept that. I think as our city council, you should be using our own city ordinances to prevent them from coming here. And they want to avoid noise, parks and recreation, streets and sidewalk, public safety, water and sewers, boating and boat issues, motor vehicles and traffic. It goes on and on. It's 70-something pages. Let's see. Yeah, and they use the same sentence over and over. They should really have to do more work for $1 billion company for us to exclude them from our ordinances. And the last thing I want to say is that, you know, I'm with Kevin. I don't understand. Sometimes I think you're with us, sometimes you're not. You guys are not our parents. You're not here to like teach us or learn, and some of you are still learning, as we learned last week. You're here to follow the will of the people, and the will of the people here is that they don't want it. And Equinor should be embarrassed of a survey for 300 people. There's no facts behind that. What 300 people? Who did they give it out to? We have over 40,000 people here. A 300-person survey, 65% in their favor? It's like, it's laughable. How is that acceptable? How is that gauging the residents in our community? He should be embarrassed. Anyway, it's not enough, and we need to know what is the number of signatures we need on a petition for you to get on our side and vote no before the slow walk and they take over our home rule. Those are all my questions.
Okay. Ms. Kramer. Ms. Kramer, could you come back? I got a question. So, you know, my experience is we deal with three Christina Kramers on this issue. There's the one that came up and spoke well and passionately just now. There's one that sends us some, at times, informative emails. And then there's the one on social media. So I have a question for you. So you posted that, well, I'll just read what you posted.
I thought you don't go on Facebook.
I don't. Somebody sent me the screenshot. So it says, I think our Long Beach City Council was having trouble with the residents being so strongly opposed. They don't want to have to take the heat for what's about to be bestowed upon us. So they reported back to King Kaminsky, and Kaminsky called in the big dog, Hochul. Now nobody locally has to take responsibility for the hell that's about to rain upon our ocean and our communities. Yes, they will deny it. They will say they were on our side, but they weren't. We know it. And now that they can hide behind that monster governor. So let me ask you, what is that? Tell me what you base that on.
What I base that on? Oh my God, I think it's almost factual. We know that Kaminsky still has power, even though he's not in office. We know that he controls Mr. Walsh and yourself, and we know that you run the city council. Everybody does what you say.
Wait. So this is interesting to me. So why don't you tell me how you know that?
It's just common knowledge. We know. We've been
Common
here.
knowledge.
It's not our first rodeo around
So
here.
you think-
Like bail reform, we watched that monster do his damage to our country, to our city, and then we get Todd Kaminsky secured $1 million, kind of boosting him up.
So
He's the devil from within.
So here's my point. You say crap like that.
Yeah, I mean it too.
Right. And all week you've been telling people how we lied.
All week? I don't even know if I posted this week.
Oh, sure. You want me to read those to you too?
Sure, go ahead.
I don't
I'm
need
game.
to. It's basically you telling people we were lying about the alienation.
Where-
and that by asking for the alienation, we are approving the project.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
my
Just like
question
Kevin
to
said, if
you
you didn't
is-
ask for the alienation, then they couldn't start the
My
process.
question to you is, where's the line where the lying goes too far to try to achieve your goal?
I don't know. Maybe it's when you do something behind our backs in the dark of night or add on an agenda item when we're not looking. I mean, we've all seen it happen, Jay Gusler. We saw it. So
I'm just still, we're talking about the wind. So,
well, you're asking me how
what's
these
in-
things
see,
could
here's-
happen. I'm giving
here's
you
what's
evidence.
Interesting. Here's what's interesting. We get you hate us. We
I
get
don't
that.
hate you. That's not true.
hate us
I hate this
because-
project, and I want it to stop.
Christina, but you've been attacking
don't
us
hate you.
since the day we got on the council because we don't belong to the same political team as you.
That's not true. I float the line. I vote for the right people.
Wait. So the problem is, and this is.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
Well, just like your opinion on all these things you post on social
Right.
media.
You got your opinions and I got mine. I say them on my page and you grandstand on the stage here.
And the point being, you are. My point. My point being, we'll end it here. And again, maybe we need to talk
it's true.
offline.
You know Kaminsky runs the show around here. Don't lie.
We don't.
It is true.
I haven't
And
spoken.
you of all people shouldn't be talking about lying.
I haven't spoken to Todd Kaminsky in months.
You don't need to talk.
So-
They communicate. It's okay.
You see,
Just
and
like
there's-
she wasn't friends with Jay Gusler and we got pictures of her with him.
So
Cut it
look.
out.
So look, the point being is you're certainly entitled to your opinion and you're passionate about it, which is admirable. But what you're not entitled to is your own facts. So that's the point. So it sounds like Kevin and I will be just talking across the street after this. So, Tim Kramer. Folks, I'll tell you what, folks, if this is going to keep up, we'll just end the meeting. That's what we'll do. Because we got a huge pile here. We're going to be here till at least 11, it looks like.
Hi, Tim Kramer, 361 East Broadway. Just a quick thing on the benches. The benches are broken by vandalism, so if you correct the vandalism, the benches won't be broken. So that's real simple. So secondly, the bill that we're talking about is in the Assembly. It's in the Assembly Committee, okay? And assuming that this bill gets passed by the Assembly, goes to Hochul desk, and the governor signs it, how quickly are you going to be, as a council, in a position to vote no against this cable coming through the town?
There's not a vote of no. It's giving us the right, if we choose to do it, to give them alienation. So if we do nothing, they can't bring the cable through. There's no voting necessary. The only voting that would be necessary is if we were to allow them to bring the cable through.
So by doing nothing,
By doing nothing, they can't bring the cable through.
okay, does that then give Hochul or some other legislator the opportunity to draw legislation up to pull that power away from you?
That is, again, our lawyers are telling us the state could do that.
Okay, so that's the canary in the coal mine right there.
Correct.
So how do we gain absolute control over whether this cable is coming through the town or not? How do we do that?
The maximum control we can gain is by getting the alienation passed. That gives us the most control over the process. That's.
I don't like that answer. I got to be honest with you. I don't like that answer at all.
Okay,
we're setting ourselves up for failure, and that's not good.
Let's be honest. There is no absolute in this. We are a little city. They are a state. And my reading of the law is that they can, it doesn't happen very often, but they can condemn the property so that they can put through the things. Tim,
this is not good.
You know, nobody's particularly happy with that, but that's...
You just said it right here. I'm telling you right now, what you guys just said, that's what's going to happen. And this is political positioning, what's happening here. And then the state will take over. You guys will be absolved from this whole thing because the big bad governor came in and swooped in and took it.
Tim, think about it this way. Let me repackage it for you. Not doing the alienation.
I understand all that.
Leaves the decision with the Democratic majority in Albany. That's where it leaves it.
Well,
we
look,
we saw what they did when they did the end run around our representatives.
I'm good with all that. Let me move on because I don't want to get the beep over here. So, you guys have spoken many times that it's the previous council. You know, this decision was made before we got here. Example, the Haberman issue. Okay, understand whether this gets pulled from you through legislation or what have you. If this cable comes through this town, it's on you guys. It's on you guys. I'm telling you right now. And the will of the people have spoken. Now, Equinor over here claims they did a survey of, I don't know, I can't remember, 300 or 350. Okay. Me and my group of friends back here, we have over 4,150 signed petitions against the cable and the project in its entirety. 4,150. I got a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar company, multinational company over here doing a survey of 300. I got a bunch of friends of mine, okay, that spent hours and hours and hours on the boardwalk getting signatures and creating this groundswell, showing absolute condemnation of this cable coming through our town and the project in its entirety. I'm really upset about what happened here tonight because
Okay, so why don't you stick around to, well, we'll talk after, because like I said, we got a pile of stuff to get through here.
4150 versus 300. We
Yeah,
beat you,
have
Equinor.
that, give it to us.
No, because we're going to get more.
Okay.
We're going to get more.
All right.
We're going to end up with about 20,000 by the
Sure,
time we're done.
sure. Mike Jacobs. Mike Jacobs? No Mike Jacobs. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Bendo and the rest of the group. Abraham Lincoln said a long time ago, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." I know from so many aspects that this is a terrible project. As a boater, if you take everything out, forget the whales, forget the costs, what is going to happen if we don't pull together the community and this board and understand that people in offices pushing computer programs and Excel sheets do not understand what putting 5,000 wind turbines in the ocean, in the heaviest trafficked area in the world, is a total disaster. It's common sense gone awry. Now, as you fight with some of the people and they fight with you, and I see both sides, what you all have to do in your quiet time is get the conflict out of the way and say, as a company, Equinor, which was known as Stat Oil before they wanted to do it, and they have problems where they are trying to drill for oil that are unreal. It's your responsibility to look past the illusions and recognize that basically windmills in salt water is a disastrous idea. It's being pushed by the government right from the United States when Kathy Hochul in January gave $500 million as subsidies. That money came out of the pockets of you and everyone else. You must make peace with the community. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. You're both passionate about what you're doing. What matters is the truth. And the truth is that the guy from Equinor that came up there, and all of this is a scam. And yes, I started a page, a little advertisement, windmills and saltwater scam versus the voices of reason. And the voices of reason are asleep. The public is asleep. And again, you don't have to think about it tonight, but your job, much bigger than just Long Beach, is to recognize what happened in New Jersey with local rule is a horror show. They took local rule away, as you started to explain, and they said that if they don't like what someone's doing, they'll remove them and replace them with someone else. So forget the grudges, forget the thises and that's what they called me as an elder statesman, as a guy that's been boating his whole life, who loved Long Beach, the Algiers Hotel, I love it. Eric Krantz, the Hotel Isla, maybe before any of you knew it. I love this town. And I'm telling you, what you're going to do to your town, your streets, if you don't make peace and study the fact that windmills and salt water don't make sense economically, you will triple your rates. And I was very encouraged by you, Mr. Bendo. I mean it.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
I was also
Mr.
encouraged
Jacobs.
by Kelly Martinson.
Right, I'm sorry, your time is up. So, again, if you would like to, I'll stick around and talk to people if they want when this is over.
Okay, but please study what happened in New Jersey with home rule.
Okay.
Because what they want to do to you, backed by Equinor and a lot of lobbyist money, is they want to neutralize this board. Study it. If you like it, stick up for what you believe in.
Okay.
Janis Joplin said last line, don't compromise yourself. It's all you've got.
Thank you. Jennifer Stitt. It says Stitt on there. Which is it? Because your email and your signature don't jive.
My email comes, I know, it's a mess.
So which is it?
It's Sarafin.
Okay.
My email comes up as Stitt. Because,
Yes, it
okay,
does.
I know. Okay, and Jennifer Sarafin, 107 Neptune Boulevard. I thought we always had to state our address, so sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to go into the email that I sent you, and I was not trying to be sneaky when I copied, but I have been speaking to Senator Canzanori, so that's why I did copy her on that. It is awfully, I'm going to go back to what Kevin Martinson said. You are saying, I hope everybody here knows about the home rule and what has gone on, but you have, I know that they're playing politics with you guys, but they are playing politics with you guys, and nobody knows who to believe. I want to believe you, John, I do, but I also got a call from the senator today, and you're telling me you guys are all on the same page, and that's not what she's telling me. So what is it? Because she's saying we have to keep the pressure on the city council. So
Well, that's interesting.
It's
because that's
very
not what-
interesting.
That's not what she told me on the phone yesterday.
Well, I'm not saying that she's not, she's saying that the pressure has to stay on because it's going to be in your hands once that passes the assembly. And then what are you going to do with it is the question.
So maybe, so let me read you an email I sent to Ari Brown, the senator.
We read it.
And I also sent the same one to Congressman Diaz-Bazito. So as a follow-up to the conversation I had with you today regarding the Empire Wind project, I invite both of you to work with the Long Beach City Council to ensure our constituents' interests are protected. I also spoke with Congressman Diaz-Bazito, extending the same invitation to him. I believe we are all on the same page when it comes to Equinor's dismal performance to date and protecting our constituents' rights and benefits. The difference seems to be in how we accomplish that. We do not believe leaving this decision with Albany politicians that do not know Long Beach or our greater area residents is the way to proceed. We believe any negotiations and the ultimate decision should reside with those that will be most impacted by this. So we hope you will work with us going forward to ensure Equinor addresses our constituents' concerns and to ultimately determine if this project warrants granting alienation.
Agree.
That email summarizes the conversations I had with all of them.
Yes, but what we're saying is we don't want the line. So
We get
why
that.
is it up for, exactly, but why is there any negotiation around the line, that cable coming through our town? And you're saying your lawyers are telling you that they can take the land, and I'm with Kevin. I've spoken to lawyers. It's not that simple. It is not that simple. They don't just come take your land. It's a huge court process.
Are you willing to take that chance?
Well, why?
Are you willing to take the chance
I'm not, but
that Albany
I'm-
politicians who want this,
I'm not willing to take the chance, but the project isn't even approved yet.
right?
So, if you want to take that, if you want to get the home rule, great, get the home rule, but
Right.
then you can stop the cable after you
Exactly.
get the home rule.
Exactly.
So are you willing to stop the cable?
That's the answer is that we very well may.
But that's been your, okay.
You see,
that's the issue. The constituents don't want the cable. So why don't you do a survey? Do the whole freaking city. Find out who
That would
wants
be
the cable.
that would be interesting to do. I don't know if can we do that?
On the cable. On the cable alone, not the project, the cable. Find out if anybody in this town
We could look into that. That's probably a good idea.
And that's all, because that's where Senator Canzanori did not want that project because, as Parker said, it progresses the project according to
See, so the reason the assemblyman and the senator don't want the alienation to go through, and the congressman, is once that happens, they effectively have no power in the decision-making process because it shifts the decision-making here to Long Beach. It takes it out of the hands of both Albany and Washington. That is why they don't want the
Okay,
alienation.
but Senator Canzanori, it doesn't have anything to lose by losing. She's trying to do what's right for the constituents. Maybe up in
So if
Hochul.
she's doing what's right for the constituents, why would she deny the constituents most impacted the right to make the decision?
She's not sure what the council's going to do. You don't believe that?
Okay, I guess that's her prerogative, so she wants to leave it with Albany politicians.
No, she was waiting to see what was going to. She wanted to negotiate it more, was what she was saying.
Right, which is why I had a lengthy conversation with her yesterday.
Okay.
And said, we all need, Brown, her, D'Esposito, the five of us, all need to work together.
Agreed.
Take the politics out of this crap and make it about what's best for Long Beach. So,
That's no cable, isn't it?
it very well may be. So
So we've been coming here since March about the cable.
correct.
Okay. So is it going to be every Tuesday that everybody has to keep coming about the cable? Because we don't know when you're going to put it on the agenda?
There's nothing to put on the agenda. That's the point. I don't know why you're not understanding. If we get the alienation, if we do nothing, the cable doesn't come through here.
Are you sure then they can't, at that point, can't they do something with the home rule and take it away from you?
That's, our lawyers are saying that's a possibility.
Even if you have home rule?
Even if we have home rule, it is a possibility. By the way, another thing, because I guess Equinor started to panic when they saw what was going on, is they have now told us that they will make the route one of their negotiating points if we ever start negotiating with them. So
Let them go through the beach.
that may be. So, all right. And I believe this will be his second time up, Cooper Kramer. Okay. David Shokrian.
Good evening to all of you. David Shokrian, East Penn Street. You know, we pay our taxes here, we pay our police department, we pay our fire department, it's our tax money. And we pay to repair the roads here, it's all our money. We don't owe it to New York State or to federal government to become the guinea pigs of this project. To find out that 10 years from now, certain type of cancer is spreading in Long Beach, and then what are we going to do? Then we are going to bring an expert who's going to give us a lesson in philosophy to say the relationship between eating ice cream and crime. This is Equinor. I mean, these are the people who lie and lie and lie, and you know, they have no shame. You know, this question of eminent domain, you know, as far as I know, the expression is, be careful what you wish for. City of Long Beach used eminent domain one time in regard to Superblock. We took over Superblock. We ended up paying $20 million for it. Not only we paid $20 million for it to get rid of the lawsuit by iStar, we gave tax break to 200 units not to pay taxes for 20 years. You know, we have to ask ourselves, the condos that they are going to build, how many years they have to be there to pay city taxes to compensate for all the money that we paid in legal fee plus that $20 million. This question of eminent domain is one thing when government brings it against an individual property owner. You know, I would think it would be a completely different issue when New York State wants to bring it against the city of Long Beach, against an independent city who pays for their own expenses. You know, if you side with the people, and we need city council, there is no question about it. You know, I understand that your feelings are hurt. I understand that, trust me. But I know that if city council does not oppose this project, Long Beach would lose, we would lose, we all would lose. We need city council to say no to them. We don't want their money, we don't want their bribe, we don't want their blood money, and we don't want their wire. They could keep their money and use it to, as we discussed before, to go around the island, not to come through Long Beach. Eminent domain is not a blank check given to the government to abuse its authority as they wish. There are courts who would hear us, who would hear 10,000 signatures, if not more, who say, we have concerns about our health, we don't want them.
Okay, sorry, unfortunately,
time
is up, but thank you. Rob Noble.
Good evening. Rob Noble, 276 Jefferson Harbor Isle. Thank you for giving me this time to speak. I do respect the 3-minute rule. I'll try to stick to that. A couple of facts about Equinor, and you can find this. Just go into Google. In 2021, Equinor pulled out of Ireland completely their $2 billion wind project. They cited regulatory concerns. On May 22nd, 2023, 2 months ago, Equinor pulled out of a $2 billion project in their home country of Norway, in the North Sea. And they cited technical availability and rising cost. So my question is, if Equinor just pulled out of Ireland and their home country of Norway, citing technical constraints, rising cost, does this sound like a successful technology to you? So I looked at the company's annual report today for 2022. They did $155 billion in revenues, $35 billion in free cash flows. I looked for the percentage of renewable revenues, and it was very, very hard to find. Don't quote me on this. If I'm not mistaken, it was $5 billion. My arithmetic says that's $3.5 billion, or 3.5% of their total revenues. So this does not seem like a successful technology. Speaking of New Jersey, last week on June 16th, our counterparts, Save Long Beach Island, New Jersey, filed a lawsuit against the state of New Jersey for approving their project, Ocean Wind. And they cited that the state ignored evidence that the turbines will have major environmental impact. Major environmental impact. That's Long Beach, New Jersey, not too far from us. So there's a lot of negative press out there. As Tim Kramer mentioned, our group has been meeting on the boardwalk every Sunday at 10 a.m. We've done this 3 weeks now. As everyone knows, we have made front page news, and we're very proud of that. We've only been doing this for a month, 4,000 signatures. And I'm just going by evidence. Some people will pass us by, so I don't know what they think. But I'll say, on the record, 90% of the people that stop and talk to us oppose this project. They oppose the aesthetics of 147 turbines, quote, the size of the Empire State Building, off our shores. They oppose the cables, and they oppose the substations. Final statement is, to our friend from Equinor, if so many people support this, Where are they tonight? Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Sheila Noble.
Good evening. I'm Sheila Noble, 276 Jefferson Avenue. I'm going to speak very simply. I walk the beach almost every day, all seasons. I love the beach. I love the ocean. I watch the sunrise up over the ocean. I really can't believe that anyone thinks it's a good idea to put 900-foot structures with wind turbines on them for us to look at, 147 of them, right? And economically, how much sense does this make? What's the net gain of energy we're getting for the dollars we're going to put into this project? I don't think it's very efficient. Besides that, I know people are very, very upset about the electricity going through. We just saw what the 3 lanes on Lido Boulevard were like being ripped up, how we can't get around town and get to work. So we don't need this, and I have no idea what the power of these electromagnetic forces are going to do to a human body. I also want to tell you that I saw a neighbor's sign last night, so I stopped by, and she gave me 3 sheets of paper. They were for petitions. I walked my dog twice. I got them filled. Guess what? Not one person said no, they wouldn't sign. So, like Christina Kramer, I'm going to tell you, I hate this project. I love Long Beach. You will ruin this town. You will absolutely ruin it. And I don't want any wind turbines. I don't want any cables. I think the ocean is a sacred place, the most powerful force on earth, teeming with life. There are going to be so many unintended consequences that we can't even foresee. We're going to have dead seagulls floating in on the waves, landing on the shore where our children are playing. I can't even tell you what else is going to be going on. You can't tell me all the dead whales are a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. And if you continue with a project that has such terrible consequences without putting a pause on it and allowing more sea life to just die, beautiful, majestic animals, then there's something very wrong, really wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kathleen Sullivan. She left? Okay. James Hodge.
James Hodge from here in Long Beach, 95 East Fulton Street, Mapleton, Nevada, from the Bay to the ocean. I always say, because everyone's opinion and ideas are important and should be heard. This day, I would say, is a day that hit Long Beach millennials by storm. Several years back, when information went out about the passing of a great young man named Sam McNolly. He's a great young man, and I take a moment of silence in honor of him. It's not that I asked his family, it's not that I asked his friends, but I know he was a great man because I knew him. And out of respect, I take a little time to recognize him. He was a great kid, and I thank God for the opportunity that I knew him. I happened to be passing by the roller rink, hockey roller rink, and there was a lot of guys that were playing, and they had just did something not too long ago in his honor. And they said that it would be nice if Long Beach had a hockey league, roller hockey league, and I said, well, we could go to the next council meeting and ask about that because they've had it before. And so I say to the city manager and to the recreation, it would be great to get some of the young guys and young women on the recreation commission. I don't know how many meetings you have. I don't know how many you have on there, but I would say I've already spoken to Joe, and he said it sounds like a great idea. You already have the paperwork. It stopped several years ago, a couple of years ago, and it would be great to do it in the honor of their friends because young people are always looking for things to do, and there was so many of them there. So I say in honor of Lee Gatch and also in honor of Joe Diamond, who all of them are friends, I would just say these were so many friends of theirs that were playing and thinking about their loved ones that passed on. So I say to you, if it's something to keep the young people occupied and keep them doing something and keeping them together, please try to get that roller league, hockey league as soon as possible. Also, I didn't recognize for the last several months any supervisors with the orange jackets. Public safety is one of the #1 priorities that should be in our city as we see things going on around the country. I'll finish off by saying this, that someone was maced the other day. It's been documented with the police department and documented at the rec. Why, if public safety is so important, why did we take those funds and let all of those individuals go, and now the largest park area in the city of Long Beach don't have any supervision? It used to start it off with specials, and then it had the orange shirts, and now as I went over there several times, it's just a bunch of people over there with no supervision. So again, and also I would just echo what everyone is saying. No matter if you win or lose an election, hear the voice of the people. That's what I say. Hear the voice of the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Richard Shuren.
Good evening, Richard Shuren, 167 Jefferson Avenue, Harbor Isle. I'm sitting here listening to a lot of the statements, Mr. Bendo, you're making and others are making, and to be honest, I feel like some of them are not completely factual, and I don't blame you, but I think that, and also a lot of the statements that a lot of the residents are making, and I worry that bad information is getting out or incorrect information is getting out, and I'm concerned about it because I've known and I've seen in recent times that there's people out there that are trying to use what's happening for their own political gain or for their own purposes, which I see. And they're able to do that when the information is not accurate and complete or factual. So what I would suggest to you and to the entire city council and to others is you should have a factual meeting, community meeting with probably your lawyers who are handling this, where they can present actual facts, actually what's going on, what can and can't be done, so that the community residents who, I'm personally against this project as well, myself, but it's important to know what can be done, what can't be done, what the actual factual landscape is, so that people can plan, if they want to fight this, to come up with an effective way to fight it, or just know what can be done and what can't be done. Because I've been working on this project for a long time, and I know that the hurdle is very high, but you're never going to achieve your goal if you don't understand the facts behind it and the players. So I would urge the city council to have a community meeting that's led by lawyers and people who know what they're talking about and can present actual facts to the community that won't be able to be twisted and misrepresented by others for political gain and other purposes. So I think that there's a little time now. I used to think that we didn't have much time, but I've since learned that we have a little more time to have such a meeting, clear the deck, establish the factual record, what can and can't be done in a coherent way that residents can understand, and then they can plan and actually get something done if possible, because it's a big mess right now. And I honestly, I've seen it many times, it's not going to be successful when it's all over the place. So I would urge you to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll email you or call you and follow up with you on this.
Okay, thank you.
David Katowski.
I'm from Bethpage. I'm not a resident of Long Beach, so please don't hold this against me. It's a beautiful town. I've come here plenty of times.
Everyone's welcome.
I know the hour's late, so I'm going to be very, very brief. I've come up with a group of people. We've talked about our election integrity. We've talked about we gave you all a resolution to review and to sign, to sit there and go that we want a complete audit of the New York State voter rolls. It's really, we talk about you want to, like one of your residents said, if you're not have a seat at the table, you're on the menu, and it totally makes sense that New York State has already put a bill out to push local elections during the same time as midterms and the regular and the large elections, and not off years. So as elected members, this is going to affect you too. So having the basis of a voter roll that's a problem, you're really going to be on shaky ground. There's a lot of issues locally that you want to have control over. And if our voter rolls are not clean, you could lose that control very easily. They've already New York Citizens Audit has already found that there is 103 million excess registers just in New York, and that could swing an election. Our last governor's election was decided by 300,000 votes. So we're asking you to look at this the resolution we sent you. And to vote on it. We know that cities and towns can't do any actions, but coming and putting your name forward, it's like you're signing an amicus brief. You're saying, we want this to be done because we think that there's something wrong. On a personal note, I know that if I look up my wife's maiden name and I look up her married name, she has 2 IDs. She could vote twice if she wanted to commit a felony. And there's plenty of people like that, and those are the clerical errors. We're not talking about all the other information that's available that you guys can look at. So if you could please consider that and let us know. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Thank you. Denise Olexa.
Good evening. I'm Denise Olexa from the town of Oyster Bay, and I'm going to follow up with Dave with some more information. Can you hear me here? Okay.
Yes.
New York Citizens Audit is working with Andrew Paquette, PhD, also known as Dr. Art Zark, a brilliant cyber intelligence and cybersecurity expert. He discovered 4 hidden algorithms in the New York State voter rolls, also known as Nice Voter. The algorithms found in the databases link county voter identification and State Board of Elections identification numbers in such a way that it could be used as a third ID number, which then could be used to clandestinely tag and track records of interest, such as phantom voters. Every county official that Dr. Paquette spoke with about this subject stated that they had no idea the algorithms existed. None had seen any sign of their existence prior to these findings. The algorithms perform no security function, and they were not designed to optimize database performance. Regardless, fictitious records and votes, clone records, and deletions of records all violate the law. We know election fraud occurred. There is too much evidence to deny it with any credibility. Whoever is responsible for the algorithms is deliberately or negligently violating the law on a systemic and regular basis. Dr. Paquette's findings about New York's voter roll algorithms were recently peer-reviewed and published in a scientific journal, the Journal of Information Warfare. You should have received this article by email. What is most significant about this peer-reviewed article is it proves that the manipulation present in the NICE voter database right now is a scientific fact. It may provide an explanation of the inaccuracies and irregularities. It proves a total loss of control data breach, the most severe kind of data breach recognized by our federal government. The law says it renders the affected NICE voter database completely untrustworthy. It proves that New York Citizens Audit's research team's data is solid, reliable, and can be replicated. It is not based on opinion and conjecture. It proves that New York State election officials certified provably inaccurate elections. They ignored New York Citizens Audit's notification of the 2020 election irregularities and proceeded to run and certify the 2022 election. This is against the black letter rule of law. We ask that you support this effort by signing the resolution for audit today of the New York State 2022 general election. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Phillips.
Hi, Bill Phillips, 61 Oregon Street, Long Beach. Thanks everybody for letting me speak. So you said that if you guys do nothing, then Equinor has, then the alienation cannot happen, right? If you guys do nothing, Equinor cannot build the electrical line, right?
No, that's not the case.
If we have the alienation, the control of the alienation, and do nothing, they can't do the cable.
Right. If you have control of the alienation and you do nothing, they can't do anything.
Correct.
When are you going to, if you get the alienation?
John, I'm sorry. Dennis,
Yeah.
that they still have the ability to condemn.
New York State does.
The state does.
Yes.
Right. But you have to, but Equinor has to be under the impression that you guys are going to do nothing.
Correct.
For the state to come in and condemn.
Correct.
Right?
Even if we allow it, if we don't allow it, the state has the right to come in and condemn.
I got you.
Okay?
I got you.
So, I want that clear.
Yep, I totally get you on that. Assuming you have the right to do nothing, assuming you get the right, you have control, when are you going to make the decision not to do anything?
That's a valid question, and I
mean, this has been going on for a number of years now. I know you're doing a lot of research, you're talking to your lawyers, everything else. I'm sure by now you all have an opinion, and you all, once you get the authority to do nothing, when are you going to make the decision?
Well, it's not, as I've said many times, it's not just our opinion that matters. It's
right.
Everybody's
Right.
opinion that matters.
Yep.
And that's why we want the control here.
Right. And yep. And once you get the control, when are you going to make the decision to do nothing?
We'd have to talk.
You haven't even.
We would have to consult with our lawyers on those next steps, and.
There's no timeline on that whatsoever. Assuming I guess it's still in the assembly, that bill, right?
If it is, I haven't
So
heard anything.
let's just assume the assembly passes it end of July. Right now, the city council has control.
Correct.
At that point, at what point are you guys going to make a decision to force other people's hands?
That's the negotiation process and the strategy to make sure that we have the advantage and the leverage to do what is best for the residents of Long Beach and that their voices are heard.
Right. But really, the decision to do nothing is a decision to say no to the cable, right?
Correct. Or, as they said, supposedly, they're claiming now that the cable route is a negotiating point.
Right. Yep.
So that could potentially be, then go put it somewhere else.
Right. Okay. And have you guys talked to your lawyers? I'm sure you have. In the event that the state condemns the land, Mr. Lester, right? Like you said? Yes. What are our options at that point? I'm sure you've talked to your lawyers about that.
I can't speak if our corp counsel's spoken to them on that level. We have not, as a council, spoken to them on that particular issue, because the issue of them being able to use the eminent domain came up in a conversation with them on Friday late afternoon.
Right.
So we just learned. We were always under the impression, other people we'd been hearing that they could not use eminent domain.
Right.
Some early research we did said, nope, it's parkland, they do not condemn parkland, and they can't take it. And then we spoke to our lawyers late Friday afternoon and said, I don't know who told you that, but if they want it bad enough,
right,
they can do it.
Right.
And some of us only spoke to met our lawyers for the first time on Friday.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I would tell the guy from Equinor, Mr. Equinor, that cable ain't going through Long Beach, sounds like over here. And Equinor, once we condemn or once we prevent you from putting the cable through, then we're going to work on that wind farm out there, and that's not happening either. So you can take your project and try to, build it in Norway.
Okay, Arthur Schnee. Schnee or Sahi? Schnee, sorry.
It's our fisherman from East.
Hello, good evening, council members. My name is Arthur Schnee. I'm from Massapequa.
Oh, Massapequa.
Our fisherman.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time today. I was at the Equinor open house, and if there was 300 people there besides all of them and photographers and stuff and PR people, that was a lot. Just to let you know, they're very deceitful in what they say. In fact, they had a picture there of what it would look like, or what the wind turbines would look like from when you view them. And they took the picture from Merrick Road in Merrick, New York. And the pencil, the Long Beach tower, the water tower was about this tall, very deceiving, wide open. And Mr. Kramer put on the Facebook page some other pictures of monstrous turbines against the pencil. I go, where'd you get this? He goes, I just zoomed in on their picture, and that's what it's going to look like. So they're very deceiving in what they see. And when I was driving here today on that parkway, I could see, again, New York City from one of the bridges. And I said, that's what our view is going to look like. And that's 30 miles away. So I just wanted to, about the view. And I just wanted to ask you, how are you constituents of of Long Beach City going to feel when their views are destroyed, their beautiful views? They don't know about this yet, okay? A lot of people don't know. We're trying to make people aware of this. That's why there's so many people here today. About the cables running next to their houses, lowering their property values, raising their electric rates. 3 times more expensive is wind power, offshore wind power, than regular electric that we're paying for here. And already they're coming back to New York State and asking for more money because they don't have enough. Our group is getting very powerful. We have a lot of signatures that you heard before, 4,000, thousands and thousands, and we're going to have even more of them. And those are voters. Those are people that are looking for you for your guidance, okay, and to be able to say no to this. And they haven't heard that yet. They want to hear you guys say, no, we don't want this coming through Long Beach, this cable. You guys can't prevent the wind turbines right now from being built out there, but you can certainly say that we don't want the cable through Long Beach, and you need to speak up and say that, okay? All you're saying, we're looking at it. We have to see what we can negotiate. Is that negotiation how much money we can get from them? You already put on public record that said that you were looking of, well, if it's eminent domain, we're not going to get as much money as we sell it to them. So you need to make that decision and to tell the residents of Long Beach that you don't want this cable in through here. By the way, I spoke to my legislators in my district, and they're against this too. Senator White, Assemblyman Durso, and what I found was, by speaking to them, the best place to go is to your local legislator, like you guys, okay? Because you can make the decision here locally of how your residents feel.
Right. Sorry, just your time was up, so, yeah, no, you raised good points.
Yeah, and so, again, you know, that's why I'm here, because the local government is the one who's listening to the people. The state's not listening to any of us yet until we become powerful enough, okay? By placing lawsuits against the state and doing things to make them listen to you is what you guys need to do, and to save Long Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Brendan Finn.
Brendan.
Good morning. We're almost there, right?
Close enough.
So I got one word. Moratorium. I've said it before up here. Why can't you go to Governor Hochul and Carl Heastie and Kevin Parker and whoever else is trying to ram this down Long Beach's throat and go to them and say, we want a moratorium? Now, I've heard all of you say it in the meeting before, previously, that you're against the cables coming on shore, right? So would you be in favor of going to Albany, or at least writing to Albany and saying, I want a moratorium on this? Would you be able to do that, Ms. Treston?
But I'd have to consult the attorneys because I represent the city.
Well, I'm asking you.
As an individual?
Well, first we'll start as a citizen, then we'll go as a representative of Long Beach.
Start again. What would you like me to do, sir?
What would I like you to do? I would like you to go up to Albany and say to Hochul, we want a moratorium. How about you, Ms. McInnes?
Good morning. What I would do is what we're doing.
That's not enough. That's not enough.
So the thing is that this is a negotiation, and negotiations happen with people and stakeholders from all over the state, and many of them that don't have our best interests or the interests of the residents at heart. So what we're doing here is recognizing that we do not want the cable to run through Long Beach, right?
You've said that.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have very powerful people that don't care what we think. So what I am up here, and maybe my council members agree, but I can't speak for them, but is that we're in the position to determine the future of Long Beach.
All right. So let's go up to Albany and say we want a moratorium on this because we don't have enough information. We've heard enough people say here today that they're afraid of the EMFs. Right?
I'm just saying that that could be one element of what we're doing. I'm not going to say that I agree with that tactic because we have to get the advice of council in order to figure out what the best strategy is to get this done. It's not a win-lose game. This is a war, okay? And there's battles in war. You don't just win it on day one. You go on and you fight and you do what's right.
Okay.
And you use every tool in your tool belt to get it done. And that's what we're doing.
All right. Okay. So I got two words then. Flip-flop. In March, you put a resolution out for a home rule. And that started the whole thing going here. And that's a good thing for us because everybody got motivated. Then it went to the state Senate. And our Senator, Canzoneri Fitzpatrick, said she didn't want to push it forward. Right? But it went through anyway. So you wrote a letter to the Assembly, to Ari Brown, and you said, we want to hold it back, we don't want it to go forward. 10 days later, you wrote a letter to Carl Heastie saying that you want it to go forward, you want to push it. So we got flip-flops on now, right?
No, it's not, so.
But what, I'm going to continue one more thing.
Sure, go ahead.
And then you could speak. But, so, you want it to go forward, I know why, because of eminent domain, right? I don't know if that's really the case, but I'm not saying you're lying, I'm saying it may not be the exact thing. You might know the best, I guess. Are you the person? How did you not get this advice when this thing began? How did we not know about eminent domain as we went forward? This is something that we should have known, right? So, here's another question. Roy, you didn't sign the letter. How come?
Because I have feelings different than the rest of my councilmen.
Right, that's what I want to hear.
Well,
that's what I want. I would like all of you to go to Albany and say, we want a moratorium. We want more information. We want to stop this, right? I think you agree with me, Roy, right?
No, I do not agree on a moratorium. I want this issue settled. I want the cable going somewhere else.
All right.
And I'm not.
So do I.
And I'm not saying put it off for years. I don't believe in kicking the can down the road. Let's get it done. Listen.
But we need more information, right? If they're going to put those cables through here, we need more information.
No, but
Ms.
why-
Parsley, how do you
wait,
feel about
We have
it?
enough information to where people do not feel comfortable with the cable. What more information do you need? Ask them. Do they feel comfortable with it?
I don't have to ask them. I know how they feel.
Okay, so what are we saying? Oh, we need more so that people can come in and say, oh, no, there's no causation, there's correlation. So you should feel okay with correlation and not causation.
Okay, then let's just...
I mean,
right,
come on.
okay,
Would
so
you-
let's get up there to Albany and ask for that moratorium, or at least, if you want to
Well,
get it stopped, then get it stopped.
Why moratorium? Let's get it done. Let's
okay.
get the cable moved.
Okay, so, I
You
don't
know-
think that... So the letter to Carl Heastie is actually, let's get the project going, right? Isn't that what that means?
Not in the least.
Not in the least, okay.
So, the reason we sent the letter up to Ari Brown asking them not to vote on it was because we found out by Ari calling us that they had somehow got some senator from Brooklyn.
Yeah, right, Kevin
right,
Parker,
to
right.
sponsor this
yeah.
thing.
I think everybody, we all know that,
Right.
yeah.
And when we found that out, we were infuriated by that they did an end run around our representatives, and
So why didn't you write to Carl Heastie? Because he's the guy who did that.
so we sent a letter up and said, we don't support the assembly voting on this, because we didn't like what the Democrats did.
Right, so why not write to the Democrats and tell them not to do it?
Can I finish?
Okay?
Then, over the course of a few days, we spoke to our lawyers. We again had thought eminent domain was not possible on parkland. That's what the early looking into it had told us. And then when we spoke to our lawyers on Friday, they said, yeah, it might not be common, but don't think they won't do it if they want it. So again, as I've been saying all night, the lawyers said the best way to protect yourselves is you need to get the Parkland alienation so the control comes to Long Beach. So when they told us that, we said, okay, and we sent a letter up to Heastie. And if you read the letter, we were basically tearing them apart.
Well, you tore Equinor apart, but by the same token, it seemed like you want the project to go forward the way I read the letter.
Where are you coming up with? Listen,
I read it.
Stop with the campaign stuff.
I read the letter. I didn't write the letter, I read it.
We said we want local control, is what we said in the letter. We want the decision-making here with the people of Long Beach.
But that's what you asked for in March. You asked for the same thing.
And the state didn't give it to us. Now we're trying to get them to give it to us.
Who are these attorneys who told you this? We get their names?
I don't, I'm sure he could give you their names, but I don't, I know their first names.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on, what?
You only know their first names?
I met them for the first time on a telephone call on Friday.
All right. Well, listen, I think you guys need to take a stand, go up to Albany, and tell them what we want here in Long Beach, right? And forget about what's happening with this letter, with the eminent domain. Do something for us.
Okay.
You didn't even answer me, though. You
Okay.
didn't give me an answer.
Your time was up, Brendan.
Okay, thank
So-
you. All right.
All right,
Have a
thank
good
you.
night.
And Crystal Lake.
Good evening again, Crystal Lake. I'm just going to be totally honest. Now I see more individuals that understand how it feels to have something practically jammed down your throat. And you're being told it's for the greater good, regardless of what the consequences may be. North Park, residential displacement, eminent domain, urban renewal, exposure to carcinogens and pollution, extreme flooding. Okay, that's what we had dealt with far too long, because many individuals have decided this is what's best. On the ocean side, which urban renewal occurred over there as well, we have a subsea pipeline, transcontinental gas pipeline. A potential subterranean cable. Okay, when it veers through Long Beach, it ends up on the bay side, within an environmental justice area. That particular area is, with all the underground utilities and cables, it's absolutely ridiculous. We're a barrier island. How much more of the infrastructure that we can actually absorb and handle without any harm? It's going to occur. The unearthing of the dirt, which a great deal of it is contaminated. Who's going to pay for that? Now it's airborne. Partially could be waterborne. Okay, airborne, it can be absorbed through the skin. So there's so many factors. I went to the June 8th meeting and I asked one of the individuals there that were at the table, I said, well, and this is something very small. I said, what are you going to do with the turbines? Are they going to end up in the landfills? Well, we haven't figured out a way to break them down. And I'm like, you're a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. Something that small you are unable to address. When on CBS News, May 4th, there was a woman who figured out a way to recycle the turbines and break them down. So I applaud everyone's efforts to stop this monster. It's absolutely ridiculous. No one has proven that that it's actually going to be cost effective. I mean, you're tampering with God's green earth. Leave it alone. It's overkill. And thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Crystal.
Good night.
Okay, folks, that was it. Thank you for coming tonight. And everybody, please get home safely.